Yaya is crying so heartbreakingly, and you're still memorizing classical Chinese. Before the college entrance exam, the school belle got dumped by some dyed-haired loser outside school and wanted the whole class to skip the exam to help her get over the heartbreak. To please her, the top simp tore up all my review materials. Tomorrow, no one is allowed to go to the exam venue. We're going to let the whole world know that Yaya's tears are more important than the college entrance exam. I looked at the shredded paper all over the floor and, instead of getting angry, I laughed. Fine, I'm not taking the blame. I turned around, used going to the bathroom as an excuse, and pulled out my phone to tip off the parents one by one. Half an hour later, mixed doubles beating was being staged outside the door. The school beauty was still screaming, "What are you doing? This is the freedom of our youth." The next second, a loud slap sent her flying directly out. Woo, how could he treat me like this? My heart is broken. Chuya lay sprawled over her desk, her shoulders shaking violently. At the podium, class monitor Zhao Feng stood like a guardian deity, his eyes red-rimmed and his voice hoarse as he announced to the whole class, "Yaya's heart is broken. Do we still have the mood to take exams? The college entrance examination comes every year, but Yaya's youth only comes once." He waved his hand grandly and pointed at all of us. "I've decided, tomorrow, our whole class will not go to the exam site. We're going to use our actions to tell the whole world that Chuya's tears are 10,000 times more important than the fucking college entrance examination." The classroom was dead silent. Most people lowered their heads, not daring to look at him, nor at Chuya. A few of Chuya's lackeys began to chime in. "Right, we're not taking the exam. For Yaya, nothing matters anymore." I ignored the commotion, keeping my head down as I recited the Chu Shi Biao in my mind. Today the empire is divided into three, and Ezhou is depleted and weakened. This is indeed a critical moment of life and death. Zhao Feng's gaze instantly locked onto me. "Shen Wei." He walked over step by step, his tall shadow completely engulfing me. "Yaya is crying so heartbreakingly, and you're actually still memorizing classical Chinese." There was a suppressed anger in his voice. "Do you have any sense of compassion?" I raised my eyes and looked at him calmly. "What does my compassion have to do with my college entrance exam?" He froze for a moment, as if he hadn't expected me to ask such a direct question back. The people around them let out faint gasps. "What do you mean?" Zhao Feng's face flushed the color of pig liver. "Are you saying your college entrance exam is more important than Yaya's pain? What else would it be?" I turned over a page of the documents. "To me, it is." This sentence completely ignited him. "Good. What a Shen Wei." He laughed in fury, snatching the materials from my hands. "Don't you think the college entrance exam is important?" He raised high that stack of keynotes and mock exam papers I had spent 3 months compiling. "Today I'm going to let you know what important really means." Rip, the sound of paper tearing shattered beside my ear. The scraps of paper fluttered down like a blizzard of despair. Those were photocopied materials my parents had scrimped and saved for, calling in countless favors to buy from a renowned teacher in the city. Every page was densely covered with my annotations and reflections. The few boys behind Zhao Feng also crowded over and pulled out all the review materials from my desk and backpack. Like a group of madmen carrying out some kind of sacred ritual, they wore fanatical expressions of pleasure as they tore my hard work to pieces. "No one's going to take the exam. We're staying with Yaya. Let Shen Wei be the first to know the consequences of betraying Yaya." Shredded paper fell all over my hair and shoulders. I sat in the middle of the ruins, motionless. None of my classmates said a word, and none of them tried to stop it. They only watched. Some had fear in their eyes, some were numb, and others were gloating. Chuya's crying slowly died down in the midst of this frenzy. She raised her tear-streaked face and looked at me through blurry, tear-filled eyes, the corners of her mouth curling into an almost imperceptible, triumphant smile. Zhao Feng tore up the last book and threw it in my face. "Do you still think the college entrance exam is important now?" he asked me, panting heavily, looking down at me from above. I stood up and gently brushed the paper scraps off my body. "Fine," I said one word. "I'm not memorizing anymore." Zhao Feng thought I had backed down, and a look of smug satisfaction appeared on his face. "You're being sensible." I didn't look at him anymore, nor did I look at Chuya. I turned around, pushed through the crowd, and walked toward the back door of the classroom. "Where are you going?" Zhao Feng asked warily behind me. "Toilet." High stress before the exam gave me a bit of an upset stomach. "Is that not allowed?" He probably thought I had been completely crushed already, and waved me off in disdain. I walked out of the classroom, closed the door, and cut off everything inside. I didn't go to the bathroom. I walked to the corner of the stairs. that blind spot of the surveillance camera. I took out my old phone from my pocket, the faint glow of the screen illuminated my face. Calm to the point of coldness, I opened the contact list and found the first number, Xiao Feng's mother, then the second one, Zhang Hao's mother, the third one, Li Kai's father. Finally, it was Chu Ya's mother. I held the phone to my ear, listening to the beep-beep sound coming from the other end. Your youth is very precious. Could it be that your parents' youth was just fed to the dogs? The call connected. Hello? Who is this? A lazy female voice came from the other end of the phone, with the noisy background sound of a mahjong game. It was Xiao Feng's mother. Hello, Auntie. I'm Xiao Feng's classmate. My name is Shen Wei. Oh, Shen Wei, I've heard our Feng mention you. You're first in your grade, right? What's the matter, Auntie? It's very urgent. I lowered my voice, making it sound like I was speaking in hiding. We're at evening self-study at school right now, and Xiao Feng, he took a few classmates and tore up all my college entrance exam review materials. What? The sound of mahjong on the other end of the line stopped. Tore up your materials? Why would he do that? Because Chuya got dumped and was feeling down. Xiao Feng, in order to comfort her, called on the whole class to collectively boycott the exam tomorrow and stay with Chuya through her heartbreak. I didn't agree, so he led people to tear up my books, saying that anyone who goes to take the exam is going against Chuya and is everyone's enemy. There was silence. On the other end of the line, what did he say? Boycotting the exam? Yes, Auntie, he said he wanted the whole world to know that Chuya's tears are more important than the college entrance exam. You wretched thing. A shrill roar exploded from the receiver. That beast. I'll be there right away. The phone was slammed down hard. I dialed the second number expressionlessly. Hello, is this Zhang Hao's mother? I'm Shen Wei, Li Kai's father. Hello, I'm Shen Wei. There's something extremely urgent. I didn't exaggerate, because the facts themselves were already crazy enough. The last call was to Chuya's mother. It rang for a long time before it was finally answered. Who is it? Don't you know I'm very busy? An extremely impatient woman's voice came through, with loud music and the clinking of glasses in the background. Auntie Chu, hello, I'm Chuya's classmate, Shen Wei. Chuya, what happened to her this time? Is she out of money again, or has she caused trouble again? Auntie, Chuya is heartbroken and crying at school right now. Xiao Feng is organizing the whole class to boycott the exam tomorrow for her sake. Broken-hearted, skipping the exam, the other person snorted. Over this little bullshit, she can take the exam or not. Anyway, the family has already arranged a future for her. Even if she scores 0, she can still go abroad. Don't bother me with something this trivial. Is that so? I said softly. But Auntie, this is no longer a minor matter. In order to force me to agree to skip the exam, Xiao Feng and the others tore up all my study materials. I've already called the police. Call the police. Chuya's mother's voice instantly rose. Yes, I continued calmly. The police said this kind of behavior could affect the records of everyone involved, especially the ringleader. I wonder whether schools abroad would care if a student's file included records of intentionally damaging someone else's property and inciting a group incident. I heard a sharp gasp on the other end of the line. You dare? I'm just a student who wants to do well on the college entrance exam. It's your daughter and her friends who are ruining my future. There's nothing I'm afraid to do. Just you wait. She practically gritted out those 3 words before hanging up. After making the last call, I put away my phone and leaned against the cold wall, letting out a long breath. I returned to the doorway of Class 7's classroom. The door was locked from the inside. Xiao Feng's passionate voice came from inside. Brothers, sisters, hand over your phones. No one is allowed to contact the outside world. We must carry this revolution through to the very end, for Yaya, for our youth without regrets. Immediately after came the sound of desks and chairs being knocked over, the cries of a few students who tried to resist, and the fervent cheers of the many others. They were handing in their phones, severing their last connection to the outside world. How wonderful! This was equivalent to locking themselves in a cage, waiting for the hunter to arrive. I leaned against the wall by the door, closed my eyes, and could even clearly hear the roar of car engines coming from far away, growing nearer and nearer. 1, 2, 3, more and more, louder and louder, faster and faster, like an impending storm. Bang, a loud bang. The fragile classroom door was kicked open from the outside. The door slammed into the wall with a deathly groan. A woman wearing a mink coat and covered in dazzling jewels was the first to rush in, still carrying a diamond-studded Hermes bag in her hand. It was Xiao Feng's mother. At a glance, she saw her son standing on the podium, with his arm raised high. basking in everyone's worship, her face twisted with anger, and flames seemed to shoot from her eyes. Zhao Feng froze, and the fervor on his face instantly turned to terror. Mom, why are you here? How did I get here? Zhao Feng's mother rushed onto the podium in 3 quick steps and, swinging the Hermes bag in her hand, smashed it hard against Zhao Feng's head. I came to collect your corpse for you. The hard metal clasp of the Hermes bag struck Zhao Feng squarely on the temple. He cried out in agony and crouched down, clutching his head. But this was only the beginning. At the doorway, a group of parents with ashen faces, like an army of vengeance, surged in. They were holding all kinds of weapons in their hands, belts, feather dusters, and coat hangers. Some even grabbed the broom from the hallway. On the way, Zhang Hao, you little bastard, get the hell out here. A burly middle-aged man unbuckled the 7 wolves belt from his waist. Li Kai, you've gone too far, I'll break your legs today. A man in work clothes swung a broom with fierce, sweeping force. The entire classroom instantly changed from a youthful rallying assembly into an epic, mixed doubles, beatdown scene. Cries, pleas for mercy, and the dull thuds of belts striking flesh all rang out at once. The guardians of youth, who had just been so arrogant and overbearing, were now fleeing in panic, clutching their heads and crying for their mothers and fathers. The classmates who had previously stood by numbly were so frightened that they shrank into the corner, trembling all over. I stood at the doorway, calmly watching everything. In the chaos, no one noticed me. Chuya was still lying on the desk, clearly having not yet reacted to this sudden turn of events. She raised her head and looked at the hell on earth before her, her beautiful eyes filled with disbelief. What are you doing? She screamed, her voice overpowering all the din. You vulgar adults, what do you know? She stood up, spread her arms, and tried to use her frail body to protect her knights, who were being beaten up. This is our youth, it's our freedom. What right do you have to interfere? A father who was whipping his son with a belt was stunned by her words. Zhao Feng's mother also stopped hitting her son with her bag and turned to look at her. Chu Ye seemed to feel that her words had taken effect, and a tragic, almost sacred expression appeared on her face. You don't understand, you'll never understand. The feeling of loving someone, that heartbroken feeling, for that feeling, let alone the college entrance exam, even the whole world, we can give up. However, what answered her was not understanding, nor retreat. It was a woman, Chuya's mother. She had somehow appeared behind Chuya at some point, her face showing no expression at all. Her gaze as cold as ice. Finished speaking, she asked coldly. Chuya turned around and, seeing her mother, froze. Mom. The next second, smack, a crisp, loud slap landed on Chuya's face without warning. The force was so great that it sent her flying, knocking over a desk before she crashed miserably to the ground. Everyone was stunned by this sudden turn of events. Even the ongoing, mixed doubles, came to a halt. Chuya covered the face that was quickly swelling red, staring at her mother in disbelief. You hit me. Hit you? I wish I could kill you, Chuya's mother said in a low voice. But every word was laced with biting coldness. She walked step by step up to her daughter and looked down at her from above. Youth, freedom, just for some wild man who came out of nowhere. You're going to ruin yourself and drag so many people down with you. Chuya, how did I never realize before that you're this stupid? Tears welled up in Chuya's eyes again. You don't understand at all. He is my everything. Your everything? Chuya's mother seemed to have heard the biggest joke in the world. She crouched down, grabbed Chuya by the hair, and forced her to look up at her. Your everything is that blonde-haired punk who keeps you as a backup, sweet-talks you while taking the luxury watch you gave him to curry favor with a rich girl. Chuya's pupils shrank sharply. No, that's not true, you're lying. He loves me. Love. Chuya's mother pulled a stack of photos from her bag and slapped them onto Chuya's face. Look for yourself, see how much he loves you. This is the bag he bought with that girl while shopping yesterday, and he charged it to your card. This is a photo of them kissing at the hotel entrance today. You're ready to live and die for him, and he treats you like a joke, like a walking ATM. Photos were scattered all over the floor. Looking at those obscene images, she began to tremble violently, the color draining completely from her face. No, impossible, this isn't real, she muttered to herself, as if she had gone mad. Chuya's mother stood up, her face showing no sympathy at all. Idiot, she coldly spat out the 2 words, then turned to look at me, her gaze sharp as a blade. Chuya, starting today, all your cards are frozen. After the college entrance exam, you're to get your ass straight to the farm in Australia. Don't come back until the water in your brain has drained out. After saying that, she didn't spare her daughter on the floor another glance, turning around, she walked away in high heels without looking back. The entire classroom was left with only Chuya's desperate, heart-wrenching cries. This time, no one stopped for her tears anymore. At that moment, my homeroom teacher, Teacher Wang, finally appeared at the doorway. Belatedly, he looked at the mess in the classroom and the group of parents who were teaching their children a lesson, his face full of shock and bewilderment. What's going on? Xiao Feng's mother stopped hitting him. She straightened her slightly disheveled mink coat and walked up to Teacher Wang. Her face no longer held the madness from before. In its place was a cold, unquestionable authority. Teacher Wang, my son has caused you trouble. As she spoke, her gaze turned to me. But as for how this matter started, I'm afraid you'll need to investigate it carefully as well. She pointed at me and said to Teacher Wang, why has the entire class been bewitched by Chuya, while only she is perfectly fine? One hand can't clap by itself. If she hadn't said something provocative, how could our Feng, such an honest child, have torn up her books? As expected, here it came, turning black and white upside down, and deliberately confusing the truth. Teacher Wang was clearly frightened by the scene. He looked at me, then at Xiao Feng's mother, and for a moment was at a loss for words. Teacher Wang, Xiao Feng's mother interrupted him, her tone growing heavier. The sponsorship our family gives the school every year is not a small sum. I hope the school can handle this matter fairly and impartially. Give my son an explanation, and give all the parents here an explanation as well. Teacher Wang adjusted his glasses, and fine beads of sweat appeared on his forehead. He looked at me, his eyes full of embarrassment. Shenwei, you, Xiao Feng's mother sneered and folded her arms, looking completely confident of victory. Mr. Wang, don't jump to conclusions. Our Feng was impulsive, and he did make a mistake, but it takes two to tango. She walked up to me, the perfume on her body so strong it was pungent. What did you say in front of the whole class to provoke him into becoming like this? Did you start the provocation first? Did you look down on him just because you're good at studying? Every word she said was like a bucket of filthy water, trying to completely blacken me. The other parents also began whispering, and their gazes toward me turned unfriendly. Yeah, my child is usually very well behaved. She must have spoken to the little girl in such a nasty way. I stood at the center of the storm, yet I was unusually calm. I looked at Xiao Feng's mother and said each word clearly. Mrs. Xiao, you're right. Everyone froze, including her. One hand alone can't clap. I looked around, my gaze passing over the classmates with their heads bowed, and over the wavering parents. But the one who slapped hands with Xiao Feng over this was not me. My voice was not loud, but it clearly reached everyone's ears. It was Chuya. It was the madness of no college entrance exam for the sake of youth. It is everyone here, and the indulgence and silence in the face of this madness. This is the other slap that rang out against Xiao Feng. The classroom fell into dead silence. Xiao Feng's mother's expression changed for the first time. I turned back and looked her straight in the eyes. You asked me whether I provoked him. I was sitting in my own seat, quietly memorizing my lessons. That behavior provoked him. I didn't go crazy along with him. That behavior provoked him. In an environment where everyone has gone crazy, the mere existence of a normal person is, in itself, a provocation. Xiao Feng's mother's lips trembled, but she could not say a single word. You're still asking whether I provoked him. May I ask how I provoked him? Did I tell him which line from the Chu Shi Biao was going to be on the test, or is it also considered provocation that I asked him not to tear up the review materials my parents spent money on? If even a student's most basic right to learn is to be defined as provocation, then this world is simply far too ridiculous. I looked at our homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. Mr. Wang, the door was locked just now, and Xiao Feng led the way in confiscating everyone's phones. Did you know that? Mr. Wang shook his head in confusion. The reason I'm calling all the parents is not to complain. My voice suddenly rose. I'm calling for help, because I don't know what crazier thing they might do next. I don't know whether my personal safety can be guaranteed. The two words, help, hit every parent's heart like a heavy hammer. Their expressions changed instantly. What had started as a verbal dispute among students had turned into unlawful confinement and a potential threat of violence. Xiao Feng's mother's face had already turned as white as paper. I looked at the parents who had just been echoing her and finally said, uncles and aunts, I just want to take tomorrow's college entrance examination peacefully. Your children are the same, now, because of a ridiculous farce. They had nearly ruined 12 years of their own hard work. If the school were to hold them accountable, for taking the lead in inciting a boycott of the exam, for taking the lead in damaging classmates' property, and for taking the lead in isolating and threatening their classmates. What kind of punishment would that be? Would that punishment go on their record and follow them for the rest of their lives? Was it worth it? For Chuya's so-called youth, with every question I asked, the parents' expressions grew a little uglier, looking at their disappointing children. A renewed anger blazed in their eyes. Zhao Feng's mother was completely isolated and helpless. She looked at me, and there was no longer any arrogance in her eyes, only venomous resentment. "You're impressive." She squeezed a few words through her teeth. "Little girl, you really are impressive. But remember this, the college entrance exam isn't just those few hours in the exam room. The road ahead is still long." Zhao Feng's mother's threat hung in the air like a cold thorn. Teacher Wang finally reacted. He cleared his throat, trying to regain control of the situation. "Enough, stop talking, all of you," he shouted loudly. "Mrs. Zhao Feng's mother, I understand how you feel, but what Shen Wei said makes sense too. What's most important right now is tomorrow's exam. All students, go home immediately, get some good rest. No one is allowed to mention what happened tonight again." He almost shoved and pushed the parents and students out. A farce had finally been forcibly brought to an end on the eve of the exam. I silently crouched down and began cleaning up the scraps of paper on the floor. Those pieces of paper that had once carried my hopes were now nothing more than a pile of cold trash. Teacher Wang walked over, sighed, and patted me on the shoulder. "Shen Wei, you've been wronged. I also have a spare set of mock exam questions here. Take them back and cram at the last minute." I took the stack of brand new test papers and softly said, "Thank you, teacher." I didn't look at Chuya, and I didn't look at Zhao Feng. They were dragged out of the classroom by their respective parents. Like dead dogs, I carried my empty backpack and walked home alone. The streetlight stretched my shadow long. A black Mercedes slowly stopped beside me. The window rolled down, revealing Zhao Feng's mother's well-maintained face, now filled with a cold, sinister expression. "Get in the car," she ordered. I stood still without moving. "I want to talk to you." Her tone softened a little, but it still carried an air of refusal impossible to ignore. "There's nothing to talk about," I replied calmly. "Shen Wei," she called my name, "you're a smart child. You should know that going against our Zhao family never ends well. I'll give you a chance, tomorrow, as long as you get stomach pain, or dizziness, or simply show up late in the exam room. In short, as long as you don't do well on the exam, I can guarantee you a sum of money, enough for you to retake the year, or even study abroad." I looked at her as if I were looking at a monster. "Madame Zhao, in your eyes, can everything be measured in money?" Her expression darkened. "Don't be so ungrateful. My son is going to get a severe beating tonight because of you. How could he be in a good mood? And if he's not in a good mood, how can he do well on tomorrow's exam? If his future is ruined, don't even think your future will be safe either." I smiled. "Perfect. I'd actually like to see how you people of the Zhao family are going to keep me from doing well." After speaking, I ignored her and turned to leave. The car door behind me slammed shut with a heavy thud, and the engine let out an angry roar before speeding off in a cloud of dust. When I got home, I locked myself in my room. I didn't look at the set of questions Mr. Wang gave me. I knew that Zhao Feng's mother's threat was not an empty one. She wouldn't use any elaborate tactics. The simplest and most direct way to deal with a student like me, who has no power or influence, was violence or, at the entrance to the exam hall, stage an accident, make me late, and keep me from entering the exam hall. This was the only thing they could do, and the most likely thing they would do. I sat at my desk and spread out a sheet of white paper. My mind raced as I thought of countermeasures. Call the police. Useless. Nothing had happened yet, and they could say I was imagining things. Look for a teacher. Even a teacher is powerless. I can only rely on myself. What is Zhao Feng's weakness? Is it his rich but foolish mother? No. Is it his father, whom I've only seen once at a parents' meeting, quiet and reticent, but with a sharp gaze? I remember very clearly that at that parent-teacher meeting, Zhao Feng's father only said one sentence. "My unworthy son has behaved badly and caused trouble for the teacher. I will definitely discipline him strictly when we get home." In his eyes, there was none of Zhao Feng's mother's doting indulgence, only an unquestionable authority. A man who built his family fortune through his own hard work would never tolerate his heir being a fool who would give up his future over a woman. I found Zhao Feng's father's phone number. I had saved it back then, specifically so I could easily contact the class representatives for each subject. I typed out a text message. "Uncle Zhao. Hello, I'm Shen Wei. I'm very sorry to bother you so suddenly. Tomorrow morning at 7:30, at the entrance of the No. 1 high school exam site, Your son Zhao Feng is preparing to ruin both his own life and mine for the sake of a girl. I'm just a helpless student, and I have no other way, so I can only tell you about this. Whether you believe it or not is entirely up to you. No accusations, no complaints, only a statement, and a plea for help from a student pushed to the brink. I used the words. Helpless, just right. Then I turned off my phone and went to sleep. Tomorrow, there will be a good show. The next morning, the sunlight was lovely. I got up half an hour earlier than usual, calmly ate breakfast, and checked my admission ticket and stationery. Seeing how calm I looked, my mom was a little worried. Vivi, what on earth happened at school last night? Your teacher Wang called and was being vague. Nothing, Mom. It was just a minor dispute, and it's all been resolved. I gave her a reassuring smile, slung my backpack over my shoulder, and headed out the door. I didn't go straight to the exam site. I made a detour, went through the alley behind the exam site, and climbed up to the rooftop of a residential building across the street. From here, I could take in the entire scene in front of the exam site at a glance. 7:15 a.m., a familiar black Mercedes pulled up across the road. Several people got out of the car. Zhao Feng, along with the boys who had torn up the books yesterday. With cigarettes in their mouths, they leaned against the wall, their eyes scanning the crowd for something. With an unfriendly look on Zhao Feng's face, there were still faint fingerprints. It seems that last night was not a pleasant one for him. In his eyes, in addition to his usual arrogance, there was now even more of a viciousness born of utter despair and self-destruction. I took out my phone and turned it on. No reply. Zhao Feng's father did not reply to my text message. My heart sank slightly. Could it be that I had made the wrong bet? I looked at the time. 7:25. The examinees had already begun entering the venue one after another. Can't wait any longer. I came down from the rooftop, straightened my clothes, took a deep breath, and walked toward the entrance of the exam center. The moment I appeared, Zhao Feng's eyes lit up at once. He stubbed out his cigarette and, with a few of his lackeys, walked over to me. They lined up in front of me, blocking my way. The candidates and parents around them all cast curious looks. Shen Wei, Zhao Feng spoke, his voice hoarse. My mom said that I should properly see you off today. I looked at him, expressionless. Step aside, move aside. He laughed, and it was an ugly laugh. If I let you into this exam room today, I won't be surnamed Zhao, I won't hit you, and I won't curse you either. He spread his hands, looking every bit like a rogue. I'll just chat with you here until 8:45. How about that? According to the college entrance exam rules, candidates are not allowed to enter the venue within 15 minutes before the exam. His plan was extremely shrewd. I raised my hand and looked at my watch. 7:32. There was still plenty of time. Zhao Feng, are you really going to gamble your whole life on one woman? I asked him. Shut the hell up. He was like a cat with its tail stepped on, instantly flying into a rage. I'm willing to. What's it to you? I can't control that. I nodded, and then my gaze went past his shoulder, toward the place not far behind him. But he can. Zhao Feng froze for a moment. What do you mean, playing tricks and acting mysterious? He didn't finish his sentence, because he followed my gaze and slowly turned his head back. Across the street, a black Audi A8 was parked there. At some point, by the car door stood a tall, stern-faced middle-aged man. It was his father, Zhao Dihai. The blood drained from Zhao Feng's face in an instant. His body began to tremble, and his lips quivered, but he could not utter a single word. Dad, Zhao Dihai waved to him. Zhao Feng walked stiffly, one step at a time, toward his father. The few lackeys behind him were already scared out of their wits, wishing they could find a crack in the ground to crawl into. Zhao Dihai ignored them. His gaze remained fixed on his son the entire time. When Zhao Feng came up to him, he raised his hand, not to hit him, and not to scold him either. He only gently straightened his son's somewhat disheveled collar. Then, in a voice so calm it was terrifying, he said, "Come home with me, your college entrance exam is over." I turned around, facing the rising sun, and walked toward the exam hall. As I entered the exam hall, the familiar smell of disinfectant eased my tense nerves a little. The first exam was Chinese. I received the test paper and glanced over the essay topic, talking about rules and human feelings. This topic was practically tailor-made for me. I picked up my pen, and ideas flowed like a fountain. I turned the farce in the classroom, the ugly faces of Zhao Feng's family, and Chu Ya's stupidity into material for my writing. Rules are the bottom line. Human sentiment is hypocrisy. My pen flowed as if guided by a divine hand, and I finished the entire exam paper half an hour early. The next few exams passed without incident. When the bell rang to mark the end of the college entrance exam, I let out a long breath. walking out of the exam room. The sunlight was blinding. I saw my mom anxiously looking around at the school gate, and when she saw me, she immediately came up to me. "Vivian, how did it go?" "Just as expected," I smiled. What I didn't say was that I had actually performed above my usual level, freed from all pressure. I was more focused than ever before. On the way home, my mom hesitated for a long time before finally speaking. When Xiao Feng's mother, came to see me today, my heart tightened. What did she say? She gave me a bank card. My mom took a bank card out of her bag and stuffed it into my hand. She said there's 200,000 yuan in it. The password is your birthday. She said it was because Xiao Feng was being inconsiderate, and she's apologizing to you. I looked at the card and let out a cold laugh. An apology? This was hush money. After Xiao Feng was taken away by his father, he never appeared in the exam hall again. His college entrance exam this year was completely ruined. Xiao Feng's mother was afraid I would make a scene and affect their family's business. What else did she say? I asked. My mom's expression was a little unpleasant. She said, "Our family should let people off when we can." She said Xiao Feng has already been locked up by his father and has learned his lesson. She also said that since we'll all be living in the same city from now on, we'll be seeing each other all the time, so we shouldn't leave things too far gone. Mom, what are you thinking? I looked at her. My mom sighed. Wei, Mom knows you've been wronged, but 200,000 yuan is enough to cover your 4 years of college tuition and living expenses. You know our family's situation. Mom, I interrupted her. We can't take this money. Why? My mom said anxiously. They're the ones in the wrong. We can take it with a clear conscience. It's not about being in the wrong. I looked at the street scenery speeding past outside the car window, my gaze icy. This is a transaction. She used 200,000 yuan to buy my silence, to buy my compromise. If I accept it, it would be the same as admitting that the information they tore up, my dignity, and the future they nearly destroyed are only worth 200,000. More importantly, they would think that I, Shen Wei, and our Shen family, can be bought with money. In the future, they'll only look down on us even more and become even more brazen. My mother fell silent. I pushed the card back into her hand. Mom, give her the card back. Tell her that although our family is poor, we don't lack this bit of backbone. This matter is not over. Returning home, I turned on the computer and logged into the largest local forum. Then, using a newly registered sock puppet account, I started typing. The title was, "The Night Before the College Entrance Exam, for a Tear from the School Beauty. My son gave up the exam. Please judge, should I break his legs?" In the tone of a heartbroken mother, I vividly recounted the whole story, from Chu Ya's breakup to Xiao Feng leading the others in tearing up their books and refusing to take the exam, from the parents' combined double beating, to Chu Ya's mother publicly exposing the true face of the blonde-haired punk. I omitted everyone's real names and used only aliases like Student Z and Campus Beauty C, but the school name, class, time, and place were all written clearly. For people in this city, it would not be hard to guess who the people involved were. I didn't add any subjective commentary. I simply stated the facts objectively, because I know that the truth itself is more powerful than any insult. After writing the last word, I clicked send. Then I shut down the computer, took out the estimated score sheet, and began calmly estimating my own score. It takes time for public opinion to ferment. As for me, I only need to waiting for a day of judgment that will make everyone pay the price. The estimated score came out, 708 points. With this score, getting into the best universities in the country is a sure thing. I put away the estimate sheet, my heart calm. Over the next few days, I lived an unusually leisurely life, reading, running, helping my mom with some housework. I didn't log into that forum once, like a patient hunter who, after setting a trap, quietly leaves and waits for the prey to walk into it on its own. My mom ultimately returned that card. It was said that Xiao Feng's mom's face turned darker than the bottom of a pot at the time. The class WeChat group was dead silent. No one talked about the college entrance exam, and no one talked about the future. What happened that night hung over everyone's hearts like a dark cloud. Finally, on the day before the college entrance exam results were announced, I received a call from my homeroom teacher, Mr. Wang. His voice sounded utterly exhausted. "Shen Wei, come to the school. Is something wrong?" "Teacher Wang, once you get here, you'll know. The school leaders, and a few parents, all want to see you." I hung up the phone, knowing that what should come had, in the end, still come. I walked into the school's administrative conference room. The room was full of people, the principal, the head of teaching, and Mr. Wang. There were also a few faces I both knew and didn't know. Xiao Feng's mother, Chuya's mother, and the parents of several other students who had taken part in tearing up the books. Their faces all carried a suppressed anger and unease. When they saw me come in, Xiao Feng's mother was the first to stand up. "Shen Wei, was that post on the forum posted by you?" Her voice was shrill, as if it were about to pierce my eardrums. I ignored her and walked straight up to the principal, bowing. "Hello, Principal." "Hello, Director." The principal was a man in his 50s with thinning hair. He adjusted his glasses and motioned for me to sit down. "Student Shen Wei, please take a seat first." His tone was fairly gentle. "I asked you here today to verify something with you." He pushed his phone toward me. The screen was showing the post that had already gone viral. The post had already received more than 500,000 views and over 1,000 replies. There was a flood of criticism. Z classmate was mocked as brainless, C school beauty as a green tea bitch, and the school was criticized for poor management. Our school had already become the laughingstock of the entire city. "Did you write this post?" the principal asked solemnly. "I wrote it," I admitted calmly. A collective intake of cold breath sounded in the conference room. Xiao Feng's mother, as if she had found an outlet for her anger, immediately pointed at me and shouted to the principal. "Principal, did you hear that?" She admitted it. "This is slander, it's spreading rumors, it has seriously damaged my son's reputation, and it has also damaged the school's reputation. I demand that the school expel her immediately, and reserve the right to pursue her legal responsibility." Chuya's mother also spoke coldly. "Shen Wei, I originally thought you were a smart child. I never expected your methods to be so despicable. Using public opinion to attack a classmate, aren't you afraid of retribution?" I looked at them and suddenly laughed. "Mrs. Zhao, Aunt Chu, have you mistaken something? I didn't spread rumors, and I didn't defame anyone. Every word written in the post is true. If you think I have damaged your children's reputations," my gaze turned sharp, "then let me ask you, when your children tore up my books and forced me to give up my exams, did they ever think that they were damaging my reputation and ruining my future? As for retribution," I looked at Chuya's mother, "all I know is that good is rewarded with good, and evil with evil. Isn't Chuya's retribution already here?" Chuya's mother's face instantly turned deathly pale. The principal frowned and tapped the table. "Everyone, say a little less. Student Shen Wei, even if what the post says is true, you shouldn't have handled the problem this way. Do you know how much negative impact this incident has caused the school?" The Education Bureau's phone calls came straight to me this morning. "I know," I replied calmly, "but principal, if I hadn't done this, who do you think would be sitting here today?" "It would be me, and my parents, and you would have asked me, for the sake of the school's reputation, for the so-called classmate bond, to forgive them, to accept their apology. Even worse, they would ask me to accept that 200,000 yuan compensation, and then keep this matter buried in my stomach forever. Principal, tell me, am I right?" The principal opened his mouth, but not a single word came out, because he knew that what I said was the truth. The meeting room fell into a deathly silence. I stood up. "I came here today not to stand trial. I came here to make my demands." I looked at everyone present and said word by word. "First, all the students who participated in tearing up my study materials and threatened me must publicly apologize to me at a school-wide assembly. Second, the school must deal with them seriously, place the matter in their records, and show absolutely no leniency. Third, Xiao Feng's mother, Chuya's mother, and all the parents present must publish an apology letter in the local newspaper to clarify the facts and restore my reputation. If the above 3 points cannot be met," I paused, took out my phone, and opened an audio file. That night, the words Xiao Feng's mother had used to threaten me in the car came through clearly. "If his future is ruined, don't even think about having a future of your own." Xiao Feng's mother's face instantly drained of all color. "Then I don't mind making more facts public, for example, threatening a candidate and intending to manipulate the exam results. Does that count as a crime?" Xiao Feng's mother slumped in her chair, her gaze unfocused. The principal and the dean's expressions looked even worse than if they had swallowed a fly. Conflicts among students can be handled internally, but once a parent's threat is exposed, the nature of the matter changes completely. It would become a scandal that would shock the entire city. You, Xiao Feng's mother pointed at me, her finger trembling like leaves in the autumn wind. "You actually recorded it. There's nothing I can do." I put away my phone and looked at her calmly. "People like you always like to go back on their word. I'm just an ordinary student, so I can only use a clumsy method to protect myself." "Principal," I no longer paid her any mind and turned toward the seat at the head of the conference table. "Did you hear my demands clearly?" The principal's forehead was covered in cold sweat, and he kept Wiping it with a handkerchief, he looked at me, then at those few distraught parents. Weighing the pros and cons had never been a difficult thing for him. Classmate Shen Wei, please calm down first. He forced out a smile. The school will definitely give you a satisfactory answer to this matter. He turned to those parents, and his tone grew stern. Parents, the sequence of events is already very clear to us. Student Shen Wei's request is entirely reasonable. I hope you can actively cooperate with the school's work and calm this matter down as soon as possible, otherwise, you will bear the consequences. Those words were, in effect, a death sentence for them. Xiao Feng's mother wanted to say something more, but Chu Ya's mother grabbed her by the arm. Chu Ya's mother gave me a deep look, her expression complicated. There was resentment, unwillingness, but more than that, a weary sense of helplessness, beyond any hope of reversal. She stood up and gave a slight bow, to me and to the principal as well. I'm sorry, it was our fault for failing to teach our son properly. We accept all of Shen Wei's requests. A tense negotiation ended with my complete victory. Leaving the conference room, the sunlight outside was just right. Teacher Wang came chasing after me. He looked at me, as if he had something to say but held back. Shen Wei, Teacher Wang, thank you, I interrupted him. Thank you for still being willing to give me a test paper when I was going through the hardest time. Although I didn't look at that set of papers, I've taken this kindness to heart. Teacher Wang sighed. You child, you're too stubborn, too much hardness easily breaks. Teacher, I looked at him and said earnestly, if I hadn't fought back, the one who would be broken right now would be me. Teacher Wang fell silent. In the end, he only patted my shoulder and turned to leave. The next day, the college entrance exam results were officially released. After checking my score, I put my phone on the desk. 708 points, exactly the same as the estimated score, top science score in the province. My mom looked at that score and cried. She cried like a child. My father, this inarticulate man, also had red-rimmed eyes and kept pacing around the room. I called the admissions office at Jing University. The teacher on the other end of the line was overflowing with enthusiasm. They promised me the best major and the highest scholarship, and our school principal also called right away. On the phone, he was full of enthusiasm, showering me with praise. It was as if the person in the conference room the day before, the one who had lashed out at me, was not him at all. He said the school would hold a celebration for me, put up banners, and invite reporters. I politely declined. I told him that I had only one request. I asked him to fulfill his promise as soon as possible. The principal readily agreed. On the other end of the phone, 3 days later, the school held its final all-school assembly of the semester. Under the gaze of thousands of teachers and students, Chuya, along with the several boys who had taken part in tearing up the books, stood in a line beneath the national flag. Each of them held a written self-criticism in their hands. Their faces were pale, and their eyes kept darting away. The dean of students, in a grave tone, read out the school's disciplinary decision, a major demerit, probation from the school, and a record entered into their files. Then, they took turns reading their self-criticism statements and apologizing to me in public. Chuya's voice was choked with tears, and none of her former pride remained. Below the stage, there was dead silence. I stood in the crowd, watching all this with no expression on my face. I felt no pleasure, and no sense of having avenged myself. I just felt that, at last, the sky had finally cleared. After the gathering ended, the local evening paper also published a small apology letter. In the letter, several parents expressed their sincerest apologies for the harm their poor upbringing of their children had caused the female student surnamed Shen. Although the wording was vague, black and white on paper, it had nevertheless left its mark. The train bound for Beijing was moving smoothly along the tracks. I was sitting by the window, watching the fields and villages outside the window recede rapidly. My parents had accompanied me all the way to the platform, and even after the train started moving, they were still standing there, waving hard. My mother's eyes were red again. I smiled and waved at them until their figures were no longer visible. I leaned back in my chair and took a book out of my bag. It was a monograph by that economics professor at Peking University. The pages were brand new, giving off the fresh scent of printer's ink. I turned to the first page and began reading quietly. Around me were the conversations of passengers, the laughter and frolicking of children, and the clack-clack sound of the train in motion. These sounds blended into a symphony full of the warmth of everyday life, yet they could not disturb me in the slightest. At that moment, my world was more peaceful and focused than ever before. I no longer need to prove anything to anyone, nor do I need to fight anyone anymore. My future battlefield lies in a wider world. What I will face is the ocean of knowledge, the collision of ideas, and a contest with the finest minds of this era. That would be a war that was more difficult, but also More exciting, the train passed through a long tunnel. At first, there was only darkness before my eyes, and then, suddenly, everything opened up. Bright sunlight poured in without reservation, shining on the pages of the book in my hands. I lifted my head and looked out the window. In the distance were rolling mountains and an endless blue sky. I knew that my life had only just begun. With my own 2 hands, I had earned this ticket to the future, and the final destination of this train would certainly not be Beijing. It would take me anywhere I wanted to go. The world outside the window turned into flowing light and shadows in my eyes. I didn't look back. Ahead of me lies the vast expanse of stars and seas. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My best friend is stunningly beautiful and often fantasizes about being noticed by a wealthy man, so she can become a carefree rich wife. Because of this, she often dresses in revealing clothes to deliver takeout in upscale residential areas and villa communities. In my previous life, I worried that my best friend might attract the wrong kind of attention and advised her to focus on more serious pursuits. She took my advice and stopped. Unexpectedly, not long after, news broke online about the most beautiful delivery girl marrying the son of the wealthiest man in the country. When my best friend found out, she was both furious and regretful, believing that I had caused her to miss this opportunity. But what she didn't know was that the most beautiful delivery girl was actually a top student from a prestigious university who took on delivery work to support her family during difficult times. The wealthy man was impressed by her intellect and chose her to be his daughter-in-law. My best friend wouldn't listen to my explanation and accidentally stabbed me to death during our argument. Given a second chance at life, I decided not to interfere with her life anymore. Gasping for breath, I woke up from my nap on the living room sofa, the sharp fruit knife still feeling as if it were plunged into my chest. Outside, the sun was setting. Glancing at my phone, I saw it displayed a date from a year ago. I knew I had been reborn. Seeing me sitting dazed on the sofa, my best friend, who had just changed into a provocative outfit and emerged from her room, sneered and confronted me. "You have 2 days to move out. I don't want to see you ever again." I watched my best friend, dressed in a tight purple bodycon mini skirt and seductive black stockings, and as she hurled insults at me, I knew she had also been reborn. Without hesitation, I nodded decisively. Seeing that I was being sensible, my best friend ignored me further, snorted coldly, and walked out the door. My best friend and I became close friends in high school and later attended the same university. At first, she maintained the diligence from her high school days and even earned a scholarship in her first year of college. However, after seeing many female classmates living comfortably by attaching themselves to wealthy men, she gradually slacked off and shifted her focus to dressing herself up. In college, my best friend also dated a few wealthy boyfriends thanks to her stunning looks, but none of the relationships lasted long. However, this fueled her ambition. My best friend's parents passed away early, leaving her only a modest inheritance and a property. I felt sorry for her, so I often advised her not to make the wrong choices, just as my parents had taught me, but I never expected that this would become my own death warrant. My best friend had long resented me for constantly interfering with her decisions, and what happened in my previous life was simply the moment she finally snapped. After being reborn, I no longer want to meddle in her affairs. I just want to take care of myself. After all, everyone has their own karma, and interfering in others' matters means bearing the consequences of their actions. I sat in silence for half an hour, and after thinking everything through, I packed my things and moved out of my best friend's apartment overnight, spending the night in a hotel with 2 large suitcases in tow. The next day, I contacted my local roommate, Yu Ran, and asked her to help me look for a suitable rental, so I could secure a place to live first. Although I hadn't found a job yet, my parents had started a small business back home and had some savings, so I called my mom to ask for money. "Hello, Mingyue, what's up?" Hearing my mother's gentle voice on the other end of the line, my eyes welled up with tears. I haven't been home since graduating from college, so including the time from my previous life, it's been almost a year since I last saw my parents. Especially after experiencing death once, I feel quite aggrieved and miss them deeply. "Hello, Mom," not hearing my voice for a while, spoke again with some confusion. "I'm fine, Mom, it's just that I need to rent a place now, and I don't have enough money. I wanted to ask you for some." Tears streamed down my face, my voice choked up, but I still tried to sound cheerful as I spoke to her. Mom keenly noticed something off in my voice. "What's wrong, Mingyue? Are you facing any difficulties? Has someone been bullying you?" Seeing that my mother had seen through me, I stopped pretending and burst into tears. It's nothing, Mom, I just had a falling out with my good friend Lin Ling, and I'm a bit upset. Don't worry about me, Mom. Oh, I see. It's okay, Mingyue, you still have me and your dad. You can always talk to us if something is bothering you. My mother comforted me gently. Tell Mingyue to come home, even if she doesn't find a job. We can support her for the rest of her life. Why should she make things hard for herself out there? My father's rough voice came from the other end of the phone. What are you talking about? It's a good thing Mingyue has her own ideas. Do you want your daughter to become a useless little good-for-nothing? Mom scolded Dad, and Dad let out a simple, honest laugh. I just didn't think that much about it. I just didn't want my daughter to suffer. Hearing my parents' interaction, tears poured out like a broken dam. I am their only daughter, and I don't know how they felt when they learned of my death in my previous life, even if it's just for my parents. I have to take good care of myself and protect myself. Alright, that's enough, Mingyue. Mom will transfer the money to you in a little while. Someone is delivering goods right now, and your dad can't handle it alone, so I need to go help. Okay, bye, Mom, be careful. Goodbye, Mingyue, call me when you have time. With that, my mom hung up the phone. I stared at my phone, lost in thought for a long while. Soon after, a text message came in. My bank card had received a deposit of 100,000 yuan. At that moment, my roommate Yuran also sent a message saying she had found a place for me and negotiated the price. I could move in today, so I immediately grabbed my suitcase, hailed a taxi, and headed to the address Yuran had given me. Unexpectedly, the building of this apartment was right across from my best friend's building. No wonder the address looked so familiar. I signed the one-year contract without hesitation. Yuran even helped me negotiate the price down from 42,000 to 36,000. She truly lives up to the title of economist. Yuran's family is quite wealthy, but she grew up living with her grandmother and learned her grandmother's absolute control over money usage. Things can be expensive, but they must be worth it. After the agent handed me the keys, Yuran helped me organize my belongings. What's wrong? Weren't you living with your best friend? Why did you suddenly move out? Are you no longer going to be her good nanny? Yuran was being a bit sarcastic, but I knew she meant no harm. She was just teasing me. I misjudged people. I thought I was being good to them. But who knows what they really think of me? We've fallen out, and I'll never help clean up their messes again. It's good that you've fallen out. I could tell long ago that this friend of yours wasn't a good person, always bossing you around and constantly coming to our dorm to take your things without asking, yet you seemed to enjoy it, so we didn't feel we could say anything. Yuren seemed genuinely happy, as if I had achieved something great. This is what a true friend is, someone who genuinely wants the best for you. Because of my kindness, my best friend Lin Ling always bosses me around. Deep down, I feel sorry for her being all alone, so I willingly help her, but that doesn't give her the right to take advantage of me. In my past life, I really wanted to make a name for myself in the big city, but this time, I don't. It's not a bad idea to go back home and take it easy, helping my parents with more things, much better than taking care of this ungrateful person. However, before going home, I want to see with my own eyes what happens to Lin Ling, to see if she really will catch the eye of a wealthy man and rise to success. After packing up my things, Yuran offered to treat me to a meal to celebrate my finally seeing Lin Ling for who she is, and she also called and invited our other two roommates, Qin Yu and Xiao Mengmeng, who hadn't left the city yet. We went together and had a great hot pot meal. At the dinner table, Yuran told Ayu and Mengmeng about my situation. Both Ayu and Mengmeng were very happy, as they had long seen through Lin Ling's true nature and felt I deserved better. I shared my thoughts, and all three of them were very supportive. They also wanted to see how Lin Ling would end up and told me to let them know if I needed any help. I was deeply moved. Although I lost Lin Ling, my sincerity and kindness brought me together with more sincere and kind-hearted people. On the way back to the neighborhood, I happened to run into Lin Ling, who was about to go out to deliver takeout. I stood in the shadow of a tree under the streetlight, and she didn't notice me. Today, she was wearing a strapless pink puff dress that was quite revealing. Her helmet was adorned with fluffy pink fox ears, and a large bow was tied at the back, making her look like a carefully prepared gift for someone else. I have to admit, Lin Ling is indeed good-looking, with an excellent figure, but her intentions are misguided. Acting this way will surely lead to a bad outcome. In the following days, I saw Lin Ling coming out wearing different sexy dresses from upstairs, full of fighting spirit. She slept during the day and stayed out all night without showing any signs of fatigue. A month had passed, and Lin Ling had made no progress whatsoever. I could see she was getting discouraged, as she hadn't come out for several days. Just when I thought she was about to give up, I unexpectedly came across her account on a short video app. Lin Ling was filming herself delivering food. Thanks to her good looks and bold outfits, she had already gained 3 million followers. She had hired a water army to boost her popularity, praising herself as the most beautiful delivery person. There were also candid shots taken by passers-by, all of which highlighted her external advantages. So, she had found a new way to avoid the exhaustion of running around every day. Now, she no longer went out at night but instead stayed home to live stream, though she dressed more modestly for that. I switched to my alternate account and entered the live stream. After watching for a while, I understood. Lin Ling had finally realized that relying solely on her looks wouldn't work. Now, she was live streaming to explain problems to people, showcasing her knowledge. So, she had actually listened to what I said in my past life. Then why did she treat me that way? Although Lin Ling didn't study very hard in college, she still had a solid foundation from high school, so explaining a few problems to others was no issue at all. As a result, Lin Ling gained even more followers. She posted beautiful photos during the day and live-streamed problem-solving sessions at night, even trending on social media at one point. This time, the hashtag #MostBeautifulDeliveryGirl finally belonged to her. That night, after finishing her live stream, she suddenly sent me a message. I hadn't deleted her contact information because I wanted to see if she would truly reach the peak of her life. She probably wanted to show off to me or tell me that her decision was right, which is why she hadn't deleted me either. Li Mingyue, you must have seen the trending topic too, right? I'm telling you, I will definitely be the one who catches the eye of a wealthy person in this lifetime. Don't even think about stopping me again. Not replying to someone's message is impolite, so of course I'll wish her well. I saw it. Wishing you success. She didn't reply to me again, probably satisfied with my compliance, but I know she's likely not far from falling into the abyss. If Lin Ling were content with making money from live streaming now, with so many fans and a few advertisements, she could easily earn a fortune. However, she is obsessed with marrying a wealthy man, which is destined to lead to no good outcome. Relying on others is never as reliable as relying on oneself. Not long after Lin Ling stopped live streaming, just as I was wondering why, I came across her whereabouts on my social media feed. Finally, I've found you, my Prince Charming. Below this sentence were several pictures that looked very exquisite. It looks like it's at the rooftop garden restaurant. Lin Ling is wearing an evening gown that appears to be quite expensive, along with pricey jewelry, and she's dancing with a man, though his face isn't visible. Could it be that she really ran into him? I sent those few pictures to Yuran. Not long after, Yuran replied to me, the prices at this restaurant are quite affordable. The evening gown is a knockoff, and the jewelry is fake. If the clothes and jewelry were real, they wouldn't have chosen to dine here. Lin Ling posted these pictures to show off, so she made sure to capture the details of what she was wearing very clearly. Little did she expect that Yuran would see through it at a glance. I replied with an "I got it" emoji. Lin Ling has always lived a frugal and hard life, so it's normal that she can't tell these things. I just don't know why she trusts this man so much. During this period, I haven't seen Lin Ling coming in and out of this neighborhood, but her social media updates frequently, showing off the various designer bags and clothes her boyfriend bought for her. While I was scrolling through, I didn't expect Lin Ling to send me another message. There were two pictures, one of her hand wearing a diamond ring as big as a pigeon egg, and another of her and that man in Western-style wedding attire. Li Mingyue, look, I succeeded. If it weren't for you, I should have lived this kind of life in my previous life too. It's all your fault, and you even made me bear the charge of murder. Now it's my fault again. I still remember in my previous life when she pointed a knife at me, she said it was all because I was jealous of her beauty, so I kept suppressing her, saying I was mentally controlling her, but it really is my fault. I shouldn't have meddled in her affairs. I guess I deserved it in my previous life. I didn't reply to her and saved those two pictures. Let's see if you've really succeeded. The next day, I directly asked Yuran out to hang out. I've been staying in my room almost all this time and was about to suffocate. Once things with Lin Ling are settled, I'm going to travel for a while. What's going on? Is there news about Lin Ling again? Yuran hurriedly drove her family's luxury car to pick me up, leaning out of the window to ask before I even got in. Wait until I get in first, then I'll tell you slowly, I said, somewhat amused. I opened the car door, got in, and handed my phone to you. Ran, letting her look at the pictures on it. Wow, Yuran exclaimed, I don't understand. Is this for real? Did Lin Ling manage to hook a real wealthy man? No, no, I'm just surprised. Such a huge pigeon egg, made of glass. Ha 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 ha. Yuran laughed for quite a while. At first glance, I thought she had actually landed a real one. The craftsmanship of the ring is quite good, just for the craftsmanship alone. It must be worth several thousand yuan. I was speechless and clicked open another group photo to show her. So, do you know this person? Of course I do, how could I not? This is the only survivor of the Hua family, which declared bankruptcy a few years ago. His name is Hu Yunjing. His parents couldn't handle the blow and passed away, leaving him all alone. There hasn't been any news about him in recent years. This guy is far from wealthy. He might even owe billions. He's been borrowing money everywhere. But the Hua family did too many wrongs in the past, and no one is willing to help them. I thought he had left this place, but I never expected he'd managed to deceive your good friend. Then, all those things Lin Ling has been showing off must be fake. I showed Yuran Lin Ling's social media posts again. Fake. My mom ordered one of these bags, and it hasn't even been shipped yet. As far as I know, this model isn't available domestically right now. Only pictures exist. It's definitely fake. Even the real bag is something Hu Yunjing couldn't afford. Yuran was quite certain. Your best friend is in for a rough time. Hu Yunjing must still be in debt. If she marries him, your best friend will be completely drained. But Lin Ling doesn't have any money. At most, she earned a bit from her live streams before, but it's definitely not enough for her to splurge like that. Who knows, maybe Hu Yunjing has other intentions. Let's just sit back and watch the show. Come on, I'll take you to eat. Not 2 days later, I actually received an electronic invitation from Lin Ling. It was an engagement invitation for her and that Hu Yunjing. My husband said I should invite my own friends to come take a look. After all, I've known you for so many years, so I'll reluctantly let you get a glimpse of the life of the upper class. Don't be shy about coming. Her tone was quite haughty, but she forgot that although my family isn't particularly wealthy, we took care of her quite a bit over the years. She's just being presumptuous. In that case, I'll go and see for myself. I informed Yuran and my other 2 roommates, Au and Meng Meng. They had originally planned to go home, but they stayed back because they wanted to see Lin Ling's spectacle, so I decided to bring them along. I believe Lin Ling would be thrilled to show off in front of us. The more people there are, the more her vanity would be satisfied. On that day, Yuran picked up all of us, accompanied by 4 burly bodyguards. Ran. What's this? Meng Meng was a bit timid. It's fine. The man Lin Ling married is no good. My home is here, and since I'm the host showing you around, I naturally have to ensure your safety. Don't be afraid, they're very nice. Meng Meng finally felt at ease. I was very grateful to Yuran. This was clearly my issue, yet she went to so much trouble for it. Yuran seemed to sense my thoughts and said cheerfully, "Don't think I'm doing this for you. Ever since school ended, I've been so bored. I don't want to go abroad, and I've just been staying at home, gardening with my grandma. Now, having some fun to watch. I should actually thank you." Yuran was very sincere, so I no longer felt reserved. Soon, we arrived at the address on the invitation, which was the rooftop garden restaurant where Lin Ling had first sent it. How strange. We took the elevator to the top floor, but there was no sign of a wedding being held here. It seems Hu Yunjing no longer has the money to keep up appearances, not even able to book this restaurant. There were many of us in our group, and we immediately caught others' attention. Lin Ling also quickly noticed us. "It's Mingyue, you brought friends along, come over quickly." Lin Ling greeted me with great enthusiasm, as if we were still as close as before. We walked over, with the 4 bodyguards following behind. That small area was blocked off by curtains and some floral partitions, with only 3 tables, 2 of which were already full. A few of us went to sit at the empty table. The other 2 tables are occupied by Hu Yunjing's former lackeys. "Be careful," Yuran sent a message in our dormitory group chat of 4. Since the other 2 tables were already full, Lin Ling pulled Hu Yunjing to sit at our table. Yuran. After sitting down, Hu Yunjing glanced at each of us, paused when he saw Yuran, and then looked delighted. "Lingling, do you still know miss you?" "What miss you?" Yuran. Lin Ling looked at Hu Yunjing in confusion. Hu Yunjing nodded heavily. "She is the roommate of my good friend Mingyue." Lin Ling couldn't hold back her emotions. Today was their engagement banquet, so why was he paying attention to someone else? "Oh, I see." Hu Yunjing seemed to notice Lin Ling's displeasure and affectionately patted her head. Lin Ling finally smiled, looking quite smug as she said to me, "Mingyue, Yunjing treats me very well. Since neither of us has any elders, We only invited some friends to gather as witnesses, so, what do you think? See anyone you like, don't say I'm doing well and forgetting about you. I can introduce you to anyone over there." The people at the other two tables overheard Lin Ling's words and turned to look at us. It was clear at a glance that they weren't good people. "You don't have to be polite. If you like anyone, just let me know, and I'll introduce you to a wealthy partner." Lin Ling pretended to be very generous. "If it weren't for the fear of causing a scene and making things awkward for me, my 3 roommates would have probably slammed the table and walked out on the spot." "What kind of nonsense is this? Better not, you just enjoy yourself," I replied. I can see that Lin Ling is highly regarded among this group, so she must really enjoy this feeling. Sure enough, she didn't pick up on the sarcasm in my words. "Yun Jing's friends are really nice, and they take good care of me. With me here, they'll look out for you too when you come. Take a closer look, see if there's anyone you like." Lin Ling didn't catch my sarcasm. Instead, she felt her pride was at stake and kept pressing me. Yuran couldn't bear to listen any longer and changed the subject. "Is this restaurant very expensive? Why didn't your fiancé book the whole place? It's just a few tables and a handful of people." Hui Yunjing's expression momentarily fell. Aside from his lackeys at those 2 tables, only Yuran knew his true situation. If it were exposed, Lin Ling would definitely break up with him. Yuran cast a rather mocking glance at Hui Yunjing. Lin Ling was completely unaware and thought Yuran was just stirring up trouble. "Don't be ungrateful. I kindly invited you here to broaden your horizons. Without me, would you even be able to come?" Yun Jing said. "It's just a small gathering with a few friends. The ceremony is just for show, and the money is definitely meant to be spent on me, to buy me a few more designer bags." As she spoke, she even held up her branded bag. "But through Yuran, I knew it was a fake. How about it? Never seen it before, right? I'm the only one in the country who has it right now." Yuran and I knew it was fake. Seeing Lin Ling's ignorant and smugly foolish expression, we couldn't help but lower our heads to stifle our laughter. Yu and Meng Meng didn't want the atmosphere to turn cold and wanted to keep the game going, so they enthusiastically echoed Lin Ling, praising how beautiful it was and how much Hui Yunjing doted on her. Hui Yunjing also seemed to regain his footing, though he shot a dark glance at Yuran, which I happened to catch, but I wasn't worried. The bodyguards Yuran had brought looked like they could take on 4 Hui Yunjings each, which felt very reassuring. Before long, the dishes were all served. None of us dared to eat much, as we were just there to watch the show. There were 2 other tables nearby, and we didn't want to get ourselves involved. After the meal, Lin Ling went to the restroom to touch up her makeup. Hui Yunjing tried to strike up a conversation with Yuran, but Yuran ignored him, which left him visibly annoyed. "Yuran, our family never provoked yours before. I advise you to accumulate some virtue and not ruin my good fortune." Yuran sneered. "Who wants to ruin your good fortune? We're just here to see the world. Besides, do you think you can even get close to my family? Do you think you can afford to provoke us?" I noticed Hui Yunjing's fists clenching tightly and quickly pulled Yuran further away. If she got hurt, I would feel terrible. After Lin Ling came out, everyone returned to normal and suggested moving on to the next event. However, none of us were interested in continuing, and we hadn't even finished eating yet. We declined Lin Ling's invitation, and she scolded us for being ungrateful before dragging Hui Yunjing away. Some time after Lin Ling got engaged, I saw her moving. Several small trucks were called to move things, along with various pieces of furniture. "What's going on? Why is Lin Ling moving?" I looked down at the building with binoculars. The reason I spotted Lin Ling at a glance was because she was wearing a fiery red bodycon skirt. Even without binoculars, she would have been easy to spot. Let me see." Yuran snatched the binoculars from me and also looked down. Then, with a contemptuous smile, she said, "It seems your good friend has already sold her house for Hui Yunjing." Really? I took the telescope and looked a few more times. Indeed, if Lin Ling were just moving in with Hui Yunjing, there wouldn't be such a fuss. That house was left to her by her parents. It must be worth several million by now. Her parents worked their whole lives for it, and she just sold it like that. I felt a bit regretful. Who knows? Blinded by love, I suppose. Yuran sighed as well. Ever since Yuran saw Hui Yunjing and Lin Ling together last time, she occasionally stayed at my place for a few days to observe Lin Ling's situation. The next day, I saw Lin Ling post on her social media, with a large villa in the background and the caption, "My husband opened a company for me. My husband lets me live in a villa." Not long after, Lin Ling sent me a message with that photo of her in the villa, along with a picture of an office. making her look like a true career woman. See, Li Mingyue, now you know your past life was a joke, right? I really regret listening to your advice all those years. If I hadn't, I might have reached the peak of my life long ago. Why bother studying so hard? Considering we've been friends for so many years, I'll let you work as a small employee in my company. I know you haven't found a job yet, and I thought you were so impressive. After reading all this, both Yuran and I were speechless. She must have been deceived by Hu Yunjing. I guess it won't be long before he closes the net. Just wait and see her cry then. If she asks you for money, don't pay any attention to her. After saying these words, Yuran didn't offer much explanation. I don't know much about these things, but I do know that good things don't just fall from the sky. Lin Ling's good days are about to come to an end. Sure enough, 3 days later, Lin Ling suddenly called me. I didn't answer, and after 3 consecutive calls, I finally picked up. It seemed like a truly urgent matter. Mingyue. Lin Ling's voice trembled slightly. Mingyue, could you lend me some money? Not much, just 5 million, and I'll make you a major shareholder in my company. Yuran's guess was spot on, and it was such an outrageous demand. You need that much? Where would I get that kind of money? Isn't your fiancé a wealthy tycoon? Can't he even spare 5 million? Lin Ling clearly grew more anxious. Yunjing's assets have been frozen, and he can't access a single cent. Mingyue, we're best friends, right? I know your family runs a business and must have money. Could you please ask your parents to help me? I know Yuran's family is also wealthy. Could you ask her too? If she gives me 10 million, I can get through this crisis. We'll still be best friends afterward. Okay, I promise I'll listen to you. I'm really speechless. Who can come up with 10 million all at once? Yuran's family may be wealthy, but why should they give it to her? She really thinks too highly of herself. No, not a single cent, I replied coldly. She suddenly screamed, and I quickly moved the phone away from my ear to protect my hearing. Mingyue, aren't we best friends? Why won't even you help me? You clearly have money, so why won't you help? I hate you all. I hate you. Lin Ling's state didn't seem right, so I quickly hung up the phone and blocked all her contact information. After all, she had already gotten the outcome she deserved. I called Yuran and told him about the situation. Yuran said he would ask around to see what was going on. Not long after, Yuran called and told me about Lin Ling's ordeal. Lin Ling has gotten her comeuppance. That Hu Yunjing was indeed up to no good. He handed over his debt-ridden company to Lin Ling to manage, and you know how Lin Ling sold her house earlier and had some assets. Hu Yunjing sweet-talked her into pouring all her money into the company, but that wasn't nearly enough, so, under the pretense of company projects, he coaxed her into taking out various loans, all of which went into the company. Now, Hu Yunjing's debts have been fully repaid, and the company under his name is operating normally, but all the previous debts have been transferred to Lin Ling. After hanging up the phone, I felt a bit emotional. At most, I had been worried that Lin Ling might be deceived in a romantic sense, but I never expected she would be manipulated so ruthlessly. Just as I thought this was the end and was about to pack up and go home, Yuran called me again. Mingyue, let me tell you something interesting. That Hu Yunjing sold the company, took all the money, and ran off. Now he's nowhere to be found, probably fled abroad. I don't know if you've seen the news, but there's something about the most beautiful delivery girl and her current miserable state. Lin Ling went to Hu Yunjing's company, only to be kicked out. She only found out then that the company had already been sold to someone else by Hu Yunjing. She threw a tantrum right outside the company building, and now she's probably in jail. Is that even possible? Hearing Yuran say this, I even felt a bit of sympathy for Lin Ling. Morally, it's not right to do that, but Hu Yunjing, just like his parents, is no good person. His parents ran a company that exploited employees, and their products were a complete mess. All they cared about was making money, but in the end, they got reported, and the money they made wasn't even enough to cover the compensation. They completely squandered the family business they inherited. Hu Yunjing probably knew he couldn't grow the company either, so he just ran off. Is Lin Ling now heavily in debt? Yes, so you should be careful if she comes to borrow money from you. People like her don't know how to be grateful. If you help her, she'll keep clinging to you, but since you've already seen her true colors, I believe you won't make any foolish mistakes. By the way, Yuran, I have to leave here. I'll come back to hang out with you once this matter is over. I told Yuran about my plan to leave first. Yuran understood and supported me. Lin Ling is closer to me, so she'll definitely come looking for me. It's the right choice for me to go back and avoid her for now. After finishing my conversation with Yuran, I continued Packing my things, it seemed I had to make a quick escape. Judging from what happened in my past life, if Lin Ling found me, I definitely wouldn't end up well. Later, my phone received many more unfamiliar calls. I knew exactly who they were from, but I didn't answer, not a single one. That day, I called my dad and told him I was coming home. Then, I mailed back the things I couldn't carry and bought a plane ticket for the next day, heading home with just a suitcase and a small backpack. After getting off the plane, I spotted my dad's car right away. When I arrived home, I saw that my mom had prepared a whole table of my favorite dishes. It feels so good to be back home. I don't want to go out and work on my own anymore. Taking over the family business is pretty good too. Half a month later, Yuran suddenly called, saying that Lin Ling couldn't repay her debts and was accidentally stabbed to death by debt collectors. Opening the video app, the incident had indeed made it to the trending topics, along with the entire process of how Lin Ling was scammed and ended up in debt. For a while, some said Lin Ling deserved it, while others cursed Wu Yunjing for being inhuman. Yuran sent me a picture, a photo from Lin Ling's scene, which was also trending on social media, but it had been censored. The one Yuran sent was uncensored. I could clearly see that small knife plunged into Lin Ling's chest, exactly where she had stabbed me with a sharp blade in my previous life. So, in my past life, I had suffered in her place. In this life, without interfering in her affairs, she had to bear these wounds herself. After this matter was settled, I recounted all my experiences in full detail to my parents, including the fact that I had been reborn. My parents didn't doubt me at all. They just felt sorry for what I had been through, saying I had suffered. After all the turmoil had passed, I invited all my roommates for a long overdue graduation trip, deciding to have fun first and worry about the rest later. After hearing the second story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, there is another similar story. Let's continue to see. My sister and I had our seats forcibly taken by someone. The old man who took our seats arrogantly claimed he was illiterate and couldn't read the ticket, then scolded my sister and me for not respecting our elders. But he didn't know that my sister was already dead, and she died a tragic death. Taking the seat of someone who died an unnatural death is to pay with one's life. I am a corpse driver from Xiangxi. On the day of the Mid-July festival, my master asked me to escort a girl who died an unnatural death back home for burial. The girl's name was Huang Ku, about the same age as me. Although my master insisted Huang Ku died by cutting her wrist, committing suicide, but the bruises all over her body, the rope marks on her hands and feet, and the several gruesome knife wounds on her right wrist, all indicate Huang Ku's death was not that simple. The intense resentment dyed her clothes a deep blood red. Among countless vengeful spirits, the red-clothed ones are the most formidable. Coupled with the fact that it was the day of the ghost festival when she was guiding the corpse, the peril involved goes without saying. First, I used cinnabar to seal Huang Ku's 7 orifices. Then, I used a thin thread soaked in black dog's blood to stitch up the gruesome knife wounds on her wrists. Finally, I placed the corpse-driving yellow talisman on Huang Ku's chest. This yellow talisman is a secret paper charm passed down by the corpse-driving sect of Western Hunan. It can facilitate the corpse drivers in controlling the bodies. It can also suppress the resentment of the deceased. My master instructed me to disguise myself as Huang Ku's sister for the journey. We set off in the early morning, staying far away from the living, avoiding temples and Taoist shrines along the way. Even the train ticket to Huang Ku's hometown, the master deliberately bought the same train she often took during her lifetime, and a window seat. All of this was to soothe Huang Ku and suppress her resentment. After all, the red-clothed corpse rises, and corpses lie for miles. At that time, all those who have offended her will suffer. Finally squeezing onto the train, I made my way to my seat according to the ticket. I had just set down my luggage. I just felt a jolt from behind. An old man carrying a large bag of luggage forcefully pushed me and Huang Ku aside. Right in front of us, he directly took over Huang Ku's seat. It was midsummer, and the weather was scorching hot. I stood beside Huang Ku, yet I felt a bone-chilling cold. The old man had taken over Huang Ku's seat. He then placed his own luggage and belongings directly on top of mine. He crossed his legs and leaned back in the chair as if no one else was around, munching on sunflower seeds while playing a video on the phone out loud. Out of all the people who just got on the bus, the old man had to pick this seat to hog. He's just taking advantage of the fact that we're 2 girls and easy to bully. I braced myself and walked over. Sir, these are my sisters and my seats. You've taken our seats. The old man glanced up at me, showing no intention of getting up at all. There are so many seats in the back. Why can't you sit there? You 2 girls, don't cause any trouble for me. I took out my ticket and pointed to the seat and name on it. Please take your assigned seat and move aside. As soon as the words were spoken, the old man became a bit anxious. He pushed my hand away and shouted, "Get away, I can't read, I don't understand, I didn't steal or rob, I sat down first, so this seat is mine. You two young girls, don't you know to respect the elderly and care for the young? First come, first served." The commotion attracted the train attendant. After learning the details of the situation, the attendant also patiently advised the old man, "Mr. Zhou, you purchased a standing ticket. If no one is in this seat, you can sit here. Now that the passenger has boarded, you should give up the seat." Old man Zhou, upon hearing this, flung the melon seed shells in his hand to the ground, pointing at the flight attendant's face, his eyes wide with fury. "I paid for my ticket too, so I should have a seat. You're all ganging up to bully me just because I'm old. Even if the King of Heaven himself came today, I still wouldn't give up this seat. Oh dear, my heart." Seeing old Zhou clutching his chest in agony, the flight attendant didn't dare argue with him any further. I had no choice but to turn around and try to persuade me. They said they would arrange 2 seats in the same carriage for me and Huang Ku, and no one would take those seats before we got off. I glanced at the arrogant old man Zhou. In just a short while, a heavy aura of death had enveloped his entire body. 2 patches of lividity appeared out of nowhere at the corners of his eyes and between his eyebrows. "Uncle Zhou, are you sure you don't want to change your spot? Get lost, don't bother me." Old man Zhou spoke impatiently. "If you want to sit in this seat, go ahead. It's easy to sit down, but once you do, getting back up will be difficult." Old man Zhou, of all people, had to take Huang Ku's seat. Just moments ago, the temperature in the carriage seemed to drop by nearly 10 degrees. A strong sense of resentment emanated from Huang Ku. Old Zhou had no idea. Taking a seat meant for the dead will cost you your life. Many passengers began complaining that the air conditioning was too cold. Some simply took out long-sleeved shirts and draped them over themselves, not wanting to cause any trouble. I accepted the flight attendant's suggestion. With Huang Ku, I sat in the 2 seats at the very back of the carriage, away from the crowd. Seeing me slink away, old man Zhou regained his vigor. He hummed along to the tune playing on his phone, while complaining about how young people these days are so inconsiderate. In their era, when encountering an elder older than themselves, they would almost want to kneel down and pay their respects. I carefully examined Huang Ku's body. After confirming that the corpse-driving yellow talisman on her chest and the black dog blood thread on her right wrist were intact, I finally breathed a sigh of relief. The yellow talisman on Huang Ku's chest and the 5 red threads stained with black dog blood on her wrist, they are all used to suppress her resentment. As long as these 2 things remain normal, Huang Ku will not rise as a corpse and fully transform into a red-dressed vengeful ghost. I have followed my master for 6 years. Apart from the basic knowledge of corpse driving, what I have learned can be summed up in just 8 words. When you can back down, back down. When you can lie low, lie low. The practice of corpse driving in Western Hunan has long since fallen into decline. The jobs my master can still get these days are often fraught with danger. Take ToDe, for example, the red-clad one who died a violent death, coupled with the fact that it's the 15th day of the 7th lunar month, when the gates of the underworld swing wide open. A single misstep on this journey could lead to eternal damnation. I couldn't understand why my master had chosen this particular time to send me out alone to guide the corpse on the road. Also, the true cause of Huang Ku's death has always been a matter of great concern to me. A person who genuinely wishes to die would not carry such heavy resentment unless Huang Ku was forced into suicide. Just as I was thinking this, another argument erupted at the front of the carriage. A few mischievous kids, with nothing better to do, were actually kicking a ball around in the crowded train car. The surrounding passengers, unable to bear the disturbance, protested one after another, but they were met with a sharp retort from the parents of the mischievous kids, and a group of people ended up in a heated argument. I was just praying that these people wouldn't stir up trouble and end up offending Huang Ku like old man Zhou did, but the children who had just been playing soccer in the carriage came over, making a commotion. One of the boys lifted his foot. The ball shot straight toward me. I instinctively dodged. The ball hit Huang Ku right on the head. This one ball, it managed to lower the temperature in the carriage by another 5 degrees. "Auntie, give me the ball, brat, don't come any closer. I'll throw the ball to you." I forced myself to appear calm. "Brat, you're asking for trouble. If this kick goes wrong, it could wipe out an entire carriage of people." I crouched down to help the boy find the ball, only to discover a pale hand had already grabbed the ball and thrown it out. "Thank you, Auntie." The boy caught the ball. The smile lasted only a few seconds on his face. It quickly twisted into an indescribable horror. "Ah." I looked at the boy, and cold sweat instantly broke out down my back. What he held in his hand was no leather ball. It was unmistakably Huang Ku's head, dripping with blood. The boy panicked. Dropping the head from his hands, he quickly threw himself back into his mother's arms, trembling uncontrollably. The other children also saw what had just happened. They quickly ran back to their seats and sat down, not daring to make any more noise. "Sweetie, are you tired from playing? You're all sweaty. How old are you? How could you still wet your pants?" "Mom, there's a ghost in the car." "Enough nonsense. Don't talk nonsense today. If you don't behave, I'll give you a beating." As the carriage fell silent again, the rolling head on the ground also turned back into a ball. What just happened seemed to be nothing more than Huang Ku giving these mischievous troublemakers a light punishment. "You are magnanimous. Please don't stoop to the level of these troublemakers. I will escort you back to your hometown, so you may rest in peace. When the Ghost Festival comes next year, I will definitely burn more paper money for you." I mustered up the courage to turn around at that sight. My heart nearly stopped. Huang Ku's previously half-open eyes suddenly widened to an enormous size. Those bloodshot eyes were fixed dead ahead, almost as if they were about to bleed. Huang Ku's stiff hands stretched forward, hanging in mid-air, as if grasping something out of thin air. Not only that, but 2 of the 5 fine lines at Huang Ku's right wrist snapped directly. Several dark red blood streaks spread along her pale wrist. All of these are signs of resentment leaking out. A sign that the corpse is about to rise at any moment. The next second, a scream echoed throughout the entire carriage. The sound came from Old Man Zhou in the front row. He stood up shouting, pointing at his neck, and angrily exclaimed, "Who, damn it, which bastard is trying to strangle me?" Old Man Zhou pointed at the surrounding passengers, cursing angrily. The frightened children and parents from earlier didn't dare to make a sound. The argument once again drew the attention of the train attendants. Old Man Zhou pointed at the 2 purplish-blue handprints on his neck, pressing aggressively. "See this? This is the evidence. I was just sleeping soundly. Someone suddenly grabbed me by the neck from behind. Treating an old man like this, doesn't your conscience ache? If you don't pay $1 million today, I'll call the police and have you arrested." I glanced at Huang Ku beside me. I noticed that the resentment around her had diminished considerably. In its place was a faint smile at the corner of her mouth. It was Huang Ku who had just grabbed Old Man Zhou by the neck. If it weren't for the yellow talisman on his chest and the red thread on his wrist, which had been suppressing Huang Ku all along, Old Man Zhou would have long since been a corpse by now. "What nonsense are you talking? Just now, no one came near you at all. You must have run into a ghost, right?" "Oh right, today is the 15th of the 7th month, Pa." Old Man Zhou spat fiercely, then took out his reading glasses from his pocket and put them on. "Whether you're human or ghost, if you dare mess with me, I'll kill you." After saying that, Old Man Zhou began to compare the handprints of the other passengers in the carriage one by one. He firmly believed that the person who had just choked him was in this very carriage. The attendant couldn't persuade Old Man Zhou otherwise, so he had no choice but to follow along. As Old Man Zhou approached our area, Huang Ku's barely suppressed resentment began to spread outward once more. Seeing this, I quickly stood up, intending to shoo Old Man Zhou away. "My sister and I never left our seats. There's no need for you to come over. That won't do. Who knows if you two are doing this on purpose." Before I could finish speaking, Old Zhou stared at Huang Ku's face and suddenly froze. "Mr. Zhou, would you like to continue the inspection?" Hearing the flight attendant's inquiry from behind, Old Man Zhou finally snapped out of his daze. "Ah, forget it. Forget it. I'll let this matter go for now." Old Man Zhou took out his phone and hurriedly walked toward the restroom. Before going in, he glanced at Huang Ku once more. It seemed he had confirmed something, and only then did he shut the toilet door. "What's going on with this old man?" "Hey, it's fine, everyone, let's rest. Could you turn off the air conditioning? It's really too cold." Old Man Zhou's series of strange actions left all the passengers on the bus utterly confused. They were discussing whether this stubborn old man was just making a fuss for no reason, trying to get attention, but suddenly, I understood. Once on the train, Huang Ku harbored deep animosity toward Old Man Zhou. If it was because Old Man Zhou had forcibly taken her seat, causing Huang Ku to feel displeased, yet those unruly children had also bumped into Huang Ku. Huang Ku only scared the naughty kids and didn't actually harm them, but just now, Huang Ku really wanted to kill Old Man Zhou. Considering the surprised look Old Man Zhou gave Huang Ku earlier, I speculate, Old Zhou likely knows Huang Ku. Even Old Zhou is connected to Huang Ku's death. This train is the route Huang Ku often took while alive. It's not surprising that she would run into an acquaintance on the bus. Thinking of this, I inexplicably walked to the bathroom door. As a corpse handler, in order to deal with danger and preserve one's life, The first thing to practice is to keep your eyes and ears open, so, I had just approached the bathroom when I heard old man Zhou's hoarse voice coming through the door. Hey, Yi Lao-san, did the girl that cripple Sue bought last week run away from his house? Yes, that's right, the thin and small college student. She was quite kind-hearted. I think her name was Huang Ku. I ran into her on the train. She was with her sister. Good thing I changed my clothes today, so she didn't recognize me. What are you dawdling for? She must have run away from the Sue family. Sue. The cripple bought this girl to be a wife for his 3 grown sons. During the day, they lock her in the pig pen, and at night, they take turns going in. They're screaming all night long. No wonder she ran away. Sometimes Sue the cripple even goes in himself. Can you believe it? A man his age still has that kind of energy. Let's get to the point. I checked their train tickets. They're getting off at the next stop, Jinsha Lake. Go find a secluded spot outside the station. This time, take both sisters together. The older sister isn't much to look at, but she'll do. When the time comes, we'll add a bit more money and sell the older sister to cripple Sue as a wife. He's an old man. He shouldn't be competing with his son for a wife all day. Listening to the conversation in the restroom, I couldn't help but clench my fists. Beast, animal. Then, before old man Zhou came out, I returned to my seat and sat down. I watched as old man Zhou hummed a little tune all the way back to his seat. Just before sitting down, he didn't forget to turn around and give me and Huang Ku a meaningful look. That filthy gaze was like scrutinizing 2 items for sale. This glance caused the resentment within Huang Ku to once again uncontrollably spill outward. A line of bloody tears even slid down from the corner of her eye. I looked at Huang Ku. The bruises on her body and the marks left by long-term binding on her hands and feet involuntarily came to mind. The master was not wrong. Huang Ku did indeed commit suicide, but she must have been in such a state of utter despair that she would use a blade to slash her own wrist, leaving it so bloodied. Seeing the thin threads on Huang Ku's right wrist, 2 more snapped. I quickly activated the yellow talisman on her chest, forcibly suppressing the resentment. At the same time, I leaned close to Huang Ku's ear and whispered softly, I know you hate these scumbags, but if you recklessly break the seal and turn into a red-clothed vengeful spirit, you'll never be able to enter the cycle of reincarnation again. If you trust me, calm down first. Today, I will give you an answer. I don't have many good qualities, but I'm particularly good at holding grudges. What old man Zhou said. Her sister isn't good-looking, so she settled for marrying Sue the cripple as his wife. I could never let her off. Perhaps my advice got through to Huang Ku, or perhaps the sealing talisman took effect. The resentment around Huang Ku was once again suppressed. She became as obedient and silent as she was before getting on the train. After a bumpy journey, the train finally arrived at Jinsha Lake Station. Huang Ku's hometown was not far from the station. I just need to safely send her back to her hometown, and I will have completed the task assigned by my master. As the train slowed down and arrived at the station, I also controlled the yellow talisman to help Huang Ku get off the train. Old man Zhou in the front seat had already packed his belongings in advance, even though the train attendant repeatedly reminded old man Zhou that this was not his destination. Old man Zhou still insisted and followed me off the train. Outside, the sky had completely darkened. The surroundings were very quiet. Occasionally, a few passengers would pass by, pulling their suitcases and walking briskly. Stepping out of the station, what came into view was a vast expanse of endless mountains and wilderness. Huang Ku's village was located deep within the mountains. The air was filled with the scent of incense and burning paper money. In the darkness, it seemed as though countless shadowy figures were watching the living pass by, restless and eager to move. On the night of the Ghost Festival, no one wanted to stay in this desolate wilderness. I led Huang Ku forward, taking just a few steps. Suddenly, a dark figure blocked our path. Old man Zhou was carrying his luggage, staring at me and Huang Ku with a mischievous grin. What a coincidence, young lady, we meet again. This old man is getting on in years and can't carry such heavy things. Help me get this luggage into the car. With that, he even pretended to be in pain, clutching his chest. When you're old, you're just useless. I've been searching for a long time, but no one is willing to help me. I smiled and took the things from old man Zhou. Don't say any more, I'll help you. This is what I should do. Old man Zhou was overjoyed, seemingly not expecting me to agree so readily. Good child, it's not safe for 2 girls to be out so late at night. Grandpa will have my son take you back in a moment. Old man Zhou led the way ahead. He guided us all the way to a secluded path. An old-fashioned minivan was parked by the roadside, its hazard lights flashing. Before we could get close, a middle-aged man, shirtless and tattooed, holding a phone to his ear, stepped directly out of the car. The man had a dagger tucked at his waist and a face full of rough, menacing features. I guessed he was the Yi Lao-san mentioned in Old Man Zhou's phone call. Yi Lao-san, while listening to the phone, cooperated with Old Man Zhou to surround me and Huang Ku in the middle. Let's see how things go. Today, they are determined to have their way with me and Huang Ku. I turned to look at Old Man Zhou and spoke up, pretending to be scared. Grandpa, you tricked me and my sister into coming to this desolate wilderness. Could it be that you're planning to sell us off? Seeing that ToDe had already blocked the way ahead, Old Man Zhou dropped his pretense. Hee. Did your sister tell you? What do you mean by trafficking? Don't make it sound so harsh, seeing how kind you two sisters are. Grandpa just wants to find you a good husband. I guarantee that by next year, you'll both be holding chubby baby boys. I grabbed Huang Ku's hand beside me, my face darkening as I whispered in a low voice, such good fortune, you should keep it for yourself. Aren't you afraid of retribution for doing something so immoral? Retribution? I've lived this long. If there was any retribution, it would have come by now. But you two young girls, you're still young and haven't had children yet. For 100,000 each, the old bachelors in the village would be fighting over you. Old Man Zhou dropped his pretense, sneering as he moved closer and reached out toward me. I seized his wrist and twisted it in the opposite direction, using all the brute force I once had from carrying corpses at the funeral home. With a crisp snap, Old Man Zhou's right hand was broken by me. A sound like a pig being slaughtered echoed throughout the mountain wilderness. Damn it, you little bitch, I'll have my fun with you in a moment. Yi Lao-san, what are you still looking at? Help out. As soon as Old Man Zhou finished speaking, Yi Lao-san's sturdy figure strode straight over. I only felt a shadow flash by my side. I don't know when Huang Ku had already stood behind me. She was filled with resentment and directly blocked Yi Lao-san, who was approaching me. I didn't want Huang Ku to turn into a red-clothed ghost just to protect me, but this Yi Lao-san was burly and carried a dagger, making him much harder to deal with than Old Man Zhou. Just as I was struggling with what to do, I saw Yi Lao-san in front of me suddenly drop to his knees with a thud. A foul-smelling liquid flowed straight down from his crotch. Zhou, Master Zhou, the village chief just called me, he said. The girl that Su the cripplebot committed suicide the day before yesterday. Not only that, but the girl turned into a vengeful ghost and killed all 6 members of Su the cripple's family. Half of Su the cripple's body is still hanging from the eaves of his house. I told you today is the ghost festival. We shouldn't have gone out, but you wouldn't listen. These 2 girls are clearly 2 fierce ghosts. On the night of the ghost festival, a cold wind rustled through the mountain wilderness. The cries of unknown creatures echoed from the surroundings, shattering the darkness before my eyes. Yi Lao-san's words gave Old Man Zhou quite a fright. Yi Lao-san, what? What nonsense are you spouting? No, that's impossible. I walked with these 2 girls all the way here. They couldn't possibly. Before the words had even finished, Old Man Zhou instinctively reached for the handprint on his neck. Recalling the incidents that happened on the train, fear instantly filled every inch of Old Zhou's skin. Yi Lao-san's voice even carried a sob as he spoke, pointing at Huang Ku, trembling like a sieve. Master Zhou, there's no mistake. I've been watching for a while, and this girl has been walking on tiptoe the whole time. Girl, dear lady, please be merciful and spare me. This was all forced on me by Master Zhou. Upon hearing this, Old Man Zhou grabbed a stone from the ground and hurled it at Yi Lao-san in front of him. You little brat, are you saying now that I forced you to do it? Wasn't it your Yi family who started this business of trafficking women in the first place? Your current wife. Which year did you abduct her? Stop arguing, all of you. I had no intention of listening to these 2 scoundrels argue any further. I simply took a piece of paper and had them bite their fingers to draw blood, then write down each other's crimes. I patted both of them on the shoulder and whispered, keep it up. Tonight, whoever has committed the lesser sin, I might just spare them. Upon hearing the chance to survive, Old Man Zhou and third brother Yi began accusing each other even more desperately. Old Man Zhou's right hand was broken, so he couldn't write. I had him take out his phone and record a video confession. These 2 individuals have been lingering around nearby towns for years, under the pretense of offering help or introducing job opportunities. They abduct innocent women and sell them deep into the mountains. The mountains are isolated, and the mindset of favoring sons over daughters is particularly severe. Some families, finding their own newborn daughters unlucky, would also entrust these 2 to sell the girls to other villages for money. One after another, case after case, the accumulated crimes are shocking and horrifying. Over the years, countless unfortunate girls like Huang Ke have fallen victim to these too. Seeing old man Zhou and third brother Yi confess all the dirty deeds they've done over the years, I had them sign and fingerprint the confession. I plan to send all this evidence to the police station in a few days. Then, can we leave? Old man Zhou gave third brother Yi a look. The latter snapped out of it and quickly knelt down, kowtowing to me in supplication. We know we were wrong. As long as you don't kill us, we'll give you anything you want. I said I would spare you, so I won't take your lives. I glanced at Huang Ke beside me, my heart aching as I gently wiped away the blood-tinged tears seeping from the corners of her eyes. But I forgot to tell you one thing. Tonight is the Ghost Festival, when the gates of the underworld open wide, and countless wandering spirits are searching everywhere for replacements. I just accidentally extinguished the 3 young fires on your shoulders, plus, you're both injured, and the smell of blood on you is very strong. Right now, you're the best substitutes in the eyes of the wandering ghosts. As soon as the words were spoken, old man Zhou and third brother Yi also noticed the abnormality in their bodies. The consequence of having the yang fire on one's shoulders extinguished is the invasion of yin energy into the body. When a large amount of yin energy invades the body in a short period of time, they find it extremely difficult to even stand up. Stupid girl, you said if we wrote down our crimes, you'd let us go. I pointed at Huang Ke beside me and said sternly, the girls you trafficked, they once begged you like this too. Did you ever let them go? Old man Zhou, you've lived to such an old age and committed so many evil deeds. Today is your retribution, you damn bitch. Old man Zhou's curse was only halfway out of his mouth. He froze in place, not daring to utter another word, because his body was filled with a large amount of yin and evil energy. At this moment, old man Zhou was just like me. He could see it too. The shadows that kept emerging from the darkness were rushing toward him, vying to be the first to reach him. Countless wandering spirits and lonely ghosts all wanted to be the first to possess these 2 bodies. The words that were originally meant to curse instantly turned into pleas for mercy. Help. Save me. Your sister wasn't trafficked by me. She was. I quietly left this place with Huang Ke. It's a pity that Huang Ke couldn't witness the fate of these 2 with her own eyes. After all, I had to get her home for burial before midnight. Until the screams gradually faded away, I then turned to Huang Ke beside me and voiced the question that had been troubling me all along. There's something I have to ask, or I'll feel unbearably stifled. Did you really kill Su the cripple's entire family? If Huang Ke had truly tortured and killed that family, she would have already risen as a corpse, transformed into a vengeful spirit in red. It's impossible to still be like this, merely suppressed by a yellow talisman. But, if the Su family wasn't killed by Huang Ke, then who was it, impersonating Huang Ke, who brutally murdered that family? Upon hearing this, Huang Ke trembled all over. The words, cripple Su, seemed to awaken the most painful memories deep within her. However, after whimpering for a long time, she still couldn't utter a single word. Right, with the yellow talisman suppressing you, you can't speak. Why did I have to meddle in this? That family committed countless evil deeds. Whoever killed them was simply carrying out divine justice. I looked at Huang Ke once more, gently smoothing her disheveled hair and the makeup that had been smudged by tears. I will take you home for burial now, hoping you may soon enter the cycle of rebirth. Don't be like those wandering ghosts just now, unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation, only able to come out during the 7th month of the lunar year to find replacements. I really envy you. You still have family waiting for you, unlike me, born in a graveyard, raised on the charity of the village, never even seeing my parents' faces. If it weren't for that year when I was 12, my master passed through the village while guiding the dead and kindly took me as his disciple, I wouldn't have survived until now. Under the moonlight, I kept talking to myself like this while holding Huang Ke's hand, walking in the direction of her home. Huang Ke didn't mind my chattering either. She followed closely by my side the whole way, unusually quiet. Before midnight, Huang Ke's hometown, Shadow Village, gradually came into view. The master had already informed Huang Ke's family of his death in advance. As agreed, Huang Ke's parents would be waiting for us at the village entrance. There is no greater sorrow in the world than for parents to bury their own child. I guess Huang Ke's parents would be crying uncontrollably when they saw her body. Before entering the village, I specifically helped Huang Ke tidy up her makeup once more. I stitched up the knife wound on her right wrist and did my best to cover the bruises on her body. Come with a clear conscience, leave with a clean slate. This is the only thing I, as a corpse driver, can do for Huang Ke. However, when I brought Huang Ke's body to the couple waiting at the village entrance, I was astonished. There Was not a trace of sorrow on their faces, only a numb expression, as if the one who had died was not their daughter at all. Master Chen's disciple, hand your daughter over to me, and you may leave. The middle-aged woman approached me, holding a paper lantern. Both of you are Huang Ke's parents, Wang Fugue, and Wang Chunhua, I presume. I want to confirm the identities of these two people first. The impression they give me really doesn't seem like Huang Ke's parents, but before I could finish speaking, the middle-aged man eagerly took out a yellow talisman from his pocket and stuck it on Huang Ke's forehead. The corpse-driving talisman comes in 2 copies, held separately by the corpse driver and the employer. Before driving the corpse, the first yellow talisman is used to suppress the resentment while making it easier for the corpse driver to control the corpse's movements. Now, apply the second one. Huang Ke will be completely sealed and turned into a corpse the moment the talisman was affixed. Huang Ke suddenly collapsed to the ground. The middle-aged man had this second piece of yellow paper. This indicated that he was indeed the client for this trip. Huang Ke's father, so slow, 20 minutes short of midnight. If you miss the auspicious hour, I won't pay you a single cent. With that, Wang Fugue picked up Huang Ke. He then turned and walked toward the village with Wang Chunhua. They didn't even glance at Huang Ke. Wait, I hurried forward, wanting to stop the two of them. Just a moment ago, I suddenly realized something. Huang Ke's hometown, Shadow Village, and the village she was trafficked to are almost in the same mountainous area. The straight-line distance between the two villages is no more than 10 kilometers. If Huang Ke was truly abducted, why did her family never go to rescue her? What strikes me as even more peculiar is, Huang Ke clearly died in Cripple Lu's house. Why didn't Master simply start from Cripple Lu's house and send Huang Ke back to Xiaodao Village? Instead, he went to great lengths. First, he brought the body back to the funeral parlor, which was 100 kilometers away. Let me start from the funeral parlor again and send Huang Ke back to Shadow Village. I didn't have time to voice the doubts in my heart. The next second, in the dark Shadow Village, flames suddenly erupted. Countless torches were lit in unison, white lanterns, red paper figures. Not far from the village entrance, 8 coffins were placed directly in a circular arrangement. In the center of these 8 coffins stood a century-old locust tree. On the thick branches of the locust tree, a coffin was also nailed upright. There are 9 coffins in total, all chained together with iron chains soaked in black dog blood. I watched, cold sweat trickling down my back. This was not a setup for guiding a corpse to burial. It more closely resembled something I had secretly glimpsed in my master's notes, a sinister technique for altering fate known as the 9-in Mother Child Corpse Formation. The 9-in Mother-Child Corpse Formation is an extremely malevolent art. To complete this technique, a total of 9 corpses are required. Among them, a mother's corpse must have suffered severe abuse during her lifetime and died with deep resentment. 8 child corpses, who were the ones who abused the mother's corpse during their lifetime, must also die unexpectedly and meet a violent end. Then, choose a place of 4-in, and select a time of ruin. Bury the 9 corpses in black coffins. Connect the coffins with iron chains soaked in black dog's blood, then nail the corpses inside the coffins with peach wood nails to complete the 9-in Mother-Child Corpse Formation. Inside the 9-in Mother-Child Corpse Formation, the 9 corpses transform into vengeful spirits, entangled with each other, never to rest for eternity. All things in the world emphasize the balance of yin and yang, because the 9-in Mother-Child Corpse Formation is inherently too sinister and evil. It can actually improve the feng shui around the formation, making the surrounding land rich and fertile. The descendants of the surrounding families have bright futures and thriving households. Besides Huang Ke's parents, several villagers had also gathered at the entrance of the village. They were all dressed in black from head to toe, with strange patterns painted on their faces using black dog's blood. Greed filled the eyes of every single person. Shadow Village is surrounded by mountains on all sides, a natural location of 4 yin energies. Today is the 15th day of the 7th lunar month. At midnight, when the yin energy is at its peak, it is the perfect time for destruction. The people of Xiaodao Village have already made preparations in advance to complete the 9-in Mother-Child Corpse Formation, but where did they learn about this sinister technique? Moreover, once they complete the technique, Huang Ke will be completely trapped here, forever unable to enter the cycle of reincarnation. I stepped forward, intending to stop these people. The next second, a large hand reached out and firmly grasped my shoulder. With just one motion, it extinguished the 3 yang flames on my shoulders. Following that, a hoarse yet familiar voice came from behind. Good disciple, I underestimated you. I never expected you could actually bring the red-clothed one here alive. Master. I turned around. Right in front of me was my master, Chen Xiang, with that aged face, the once kind Master now had a fierce gleam in his eyes. His current expression and appearance were completely different from the past 6 years, or perhaps, this was my master's true nature all along. The master was followed by 2 others. It was none other than old man Zhou and third brother Yi. These 2 had already been brutally murdered by the malevolent ghost, reduced to 2 blood-soaked corpses. The master had used corpse-driving yellow talismans to bring them all the way here. Oh, Master Chen, you've finally arrived, I thought. Huang Fugue immediately put down Huang Ku in his arms and warmly stepped forward to greet him, but he was met with a cold glare from the master, which made him retreat. What did you think? Did you think I wasn't coming? Don't worry, since I've taken your money, I'll make sure this gets done. After saying that, the master pointed to the dead old man Zhou and third brother Yi behind him. Want to know why their village has been stronger than yours over the past decade? 15 years ago, I personally changed the feng shui for their village. Fate, luck, and feng shui, these are the 3 keys. Village Chief Huang, if you want Shedao village to prosper and have thriving male descendants in the future, today, you must listen to me. Yes, 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 everything is in your hands. Master Chen, led by Huang Fugue, the entire village knelt before the master. Those people, in front of my master, were as obedient as a pack of dogs. The master nodded, waved his hand grandly, and said, 10 minutes to midnight, follow my instructions and place the bodies into their respective coffins. Of the 8 coffins arranged around the perimeter, 6 have already been filled with bodies. It was none other than Cripple Lu, torn in 2, Cripple Lu's 3 sons, along with his parents, plus, there's old man Zhou and third brother Yi. These 8 people had previously forced Huang Ke to his death. They are the perfect candidates to complete the 9-in mother-child corpse formation. I look at the master before me, who now feels utterly unfamiliar. In an instant, everything became clear. It was you who, through old man Zhou, lured Huang Ke to Lu the cripple, all to use Huang Ke as the mother corpse in the 9-in mother-child corpse formation, and it was you, who, in the name of a vengeful ghost, brutally murdered Lu the cripple's entire family. All of this was your design from the start. Even I can't. My master extinguished the yang fire on my shoulders. At this moment, I was being invaded by a massive amount of energy. Even speaking became extremely difficult. Before them, the villagers placed old man Zhou and third brother Ye's bodies into the 2 remaining coffins on the outskirts. They then nailed Huang Ke's body onto the coffin that was placed upright in the center of the locust tree. Seeing that everything was ready, master finally looked me in the eye, quick-witted and remarkably observant, truly worthy of being my disciple. Chen Xiang, then think again, why did I have you escort Huang Ke back today? Heh, what's there to think about? I looked up helplessly at the sky. What came to mind was the scene when I first met my master at the village entrance at the age of 12. I heard there's a bold girl in the village who dares to sleep alone in the graveyard at night. That girl is you, right? Don't you have any family? You're right, the graveyard is full of motionless corpses, nothing to be afraid of. Would you like to see a moving corpse? Who am I? My name is Chen Xiang, a corpse herder from Xiangxi. Come with me, I'll give you a name. From now on, you shall be called Yi Fan. The memory abruptly ends. Looking at the master before me, all that remained in my heart was the anger of being deceived by a scheme. He had deceived me for a full 6 years. As a corpse driver from Xiangxi, you have spied on the secrets of heaven, recklessly altered feng shui, and taken human lives. In this life, you are destined to suffer from the 5 misfortunes and 3 deficiencies, reaping the consequences of your actions. Today, this 9-in mother-child corpse formation is yet another grave violation of the natural order and human ethics. The 9-in mother-child corpse formation requires the caster to sacrifice themselves, to be devoured by vengeful spirits, in order to complete the ritual. 6 years ago, you pretended to be kind and took me as your disciple, all because you wanted to use me as a substitute, so that one day I could die in your place. Chen Xiang, oh no, I should call you Yi Fan instead. Back then, you gave me a name and even set my birthday, all in preparation for today. Ha ha ha. The master laughed, but in his eyes, an even stronger killing intent was revealed. Chen Xiang is your senior brother's name. It's a pity that he never managed to understand things the way you have, even until his death. 6 years, 1 cycle. I thought you would end up like your senior brother, dying on the path of guiding the dead. Ah, never mind. Today, let your master personally send you off. Disciple, do not blame your master. As long as I can change the feng shui of Xiaodao village, village chief Huang has promised to give me a large sum of money every year. Your master is getting old, and I too hope to one day retire to the mountains and forests. no longer relying on corpse driving to make a living. With that, the master pointed at Huang Ku. Compared to that girl, the suffering you've endured is nothing at all. Village Chief Huang is also a ruthless man. In order to defy fate, he even plotted against his own daughter. Before my eyes, Huang Ku's body had already been nailed into the center coffin by Huang Fugue using peachwood nails. The villagers had set up the 7-star altar in advance. The master brought me before the altar and threw me to the ground. Then, he bit his finger, using blood mixed with cinnabar. He wrote his birth date on my face. As soon as midnight struck, a chilling wind swept through the surroundings. The master walked to the altar, lit the incense and candles with talismans, and chanted incantations. He then picked up the soul-capturing bell and shook it in rhythm with the incantations. The next second, the iron chains connecting the 9 coffins began to shake violently. The surrounding temperature also dropped almost to freezing point. Huang Ku, nailed inside the coffin, trembled uncontrollably. From his eyes, 2 streams of bloody tears flowed. It's clear that Huang Ku is desperately resisting. She doesn't want to be refined into the 9 mother-child corpse formation. Seeing this, the master frowned slightly and complained, "Village Chief Huang, your daughter isn't as obedient as you said." Huang Fugue, who was kneeling on the side, stood up anxiously upon hearing this and pointed at Huang Ku, cursing him loudly. "You worthless thing, you've been causing trouble for me for so long. Now that I'm asking you to repay me, you're still so unwilling." The whole village spent a fortune to hire Master Chen to change the feng shui. "If you don't cooperate properly, do you believe I'll grind your bones to dust tomorrow?" "All right, you kneel down first, don't disturb me from completing the spell," the master shouted angrily, then shook the soul-capturing bell in his hand even more vigorously. At the same time, he grabbed the long whip soaked in black dog blood beside him, lashing it again and again with all his might onto Huang Ku's frail body. During his life, Huang Ku was schemed against by his own parents, tricked into the home of Cripple Lu, where he suffered abuse and humiliation. After death, she still had to endure the torment of whipping. I watched as the red threads used to stitch Huang Ku's wounds were all torn apart, and deep, bone-penetrating blood marks appeared one after another on her body. I couldn't bear to watch any longer, so I shouted loudly for my master to stop. "Ha, you still have the heart to care about others, don't rush. It will be your turn soon." As soon as the master finished speaking, 8 dark shadows rose from the 8 coffins surrounding them, the deceased old man Zhou, 3rd brother Yi, and the entire family of Cripple Lu. Under the influence of the spell, they had all transformed into vengeful spirits. This was the final step in completing the 9 mother-child corpse formation. 8 fierce ghosts rushed at me all at once, charging straight toward me. The fierce ghosts greedily gnawed at my body. A tearing pain instantly spread throughout my entire body. In the eyes of these fierce ghosts, I was the one who cast the spell. As long as I die, the 9 mother-child corpse formation will be complete. With my last ounce of strength, I lift my head and look around. The scene that greets my eyes is the group of greedy villagers, the blood-soaked Huang Ku, and my master within the formation, along with his pained expression. The wounds where the fierce ghost had gnawed me to the point of bleeding profusely also appeared on my master. He was forced to stop his spell, kneeling on one knee, staring at me with an expression of disbelief. Why, master, there's something I've never told you. My mother died while giving birth to me. It was the village chief who insisted on cutting open my mother's belly to pull me out. At the time, I had already stopped breathing, but just as the village chief was about to bury me in the grave, I suddenly opened my eyes. The village chief said I was a corpse-born child, a living dead, who could only grow up in the graveyard, surviving on the charity of others. You're asking a living dead to borrow life from you, to complete the 9 mother-child corpse formation. Master, if you borrow life from the dead, you'll have to repay it with your own life. For the first time, I saw a look of terror on my master's face. He smashed the soul-capturing bell in his hand and kicked over the 7-star altar. Then, as if gone mad, he grabbed an axe and tried to chop through the iron chains connecting the coffin. Only by destroying the formation could his master have a chance to survive. Seeing this, Huang Fugue refused to stand by. To defy fate, Huang Fugue nearly spent the entire village's savings and even sacrificed his own daughter's life. He would never let his master destroy the nearly completed formation. "You damn bastard, you took the money and didn't do the job. Let go, or we'll all die together." "Die then, as if I'm afraid of you." In the blink of an eye, the villagers were brawling with the master. All sorts of foul language accompanied the punches and kicks. Previously, the master and the villagers had chosen to cooperate due to shared interests. Now, they can also turn against each other for the sake of profit. Soon, the master was beaten to a bloody pulp by the villagers. Before falling, he tightly grasped one of the iron chains, pulling the coffin beside him to the ground as well. One coffin after another toppled over like dominoes. Finally, Huang Ku, who was nailed to the locust tree, was dragged down directly. Earlier, the master's whipping had already torn the yellow talisman on Huang Ku's chest to shreds, and now, the peachwood nails that bound Huang Ku were also pulled out along with them. Without the restraint of these magical tools, Huang Ku's entire body was instantly filled with blood. She finally rose from the dead, transforming into a true red-clothed vengeful ghost. The powerful resentment emanating from the red-clothed vengeful ghost drove away all the surrounding vengeful spirits. Even the trees and greenery where it stood quickly withered and decayed. Daughter, Coco, look, I'm your father, you're my daughter, you can't harm me. Coco, I'm your Uncle Zhong. When you were 3 years old, I even bought you candy. Help me, save me, screams, wails, pleas for mercy, accompanied by the smell of blood. From this moment on, it never stopped again, until the moon set and the sun rose, and all the ghosts dispersed as the first ray of sunlight rose in the east. Everything around fell into complete silence. I forced myself to endure the pain and stood up, stepping over the pools of blood and scattered corpses. I walked forward step by step. I saw Huang Fugui's body torn in half, his face frozen in terror. In that final moment before death, did he regret his actions? Then I saw my master, collapsed in a heap of blood. He held on to his last breath and looked at me. Then, as if confirming something, his head tilted to the side, and he stopped moving completely. I walked aimlessly forward until I saw that crimson figure drifting deeper into the mountains. At that moment, a flood of indescribable emotions surged from the depths of my heart. I knelt on the ground, crying as I apologized to Huang Ku. In the end, I still couldn't stop her from turning into a red-clothed ghost. In the end, I still couldn't let her rest in peace and enter the cycle of reincarnation. In the distance, Huang Ku seemed to sense something as well. Before completely merging with the darkness, she slowly turned around and looked at me. That was the first time I saw a smile on her face. After hearing the stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.